I'll just give the same spiel then. So I appreciate everybody joining. Sorry for the audio issues on the last one. I will. That was probably my fault. But I guess if the audio was not so good, and if people couldn't hear what you were saying, Alexandra, if you just want to give just a brief overview, maybe of what you just said there.
Yes, sure.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I don't mean to have you
No
repeating
problem at
everything
all.
all over again.
So I'll try to summarize it a bit. So what got me from aversive training to balance force retraining? I started aversive training for Schutzhund, IPG, IPO these days, back in
Okay.
Germany, in the Rottweiler and German Shepherd Club, both with my personal dog and clients' dogs. I was a decoy as well there. I was a dog walker, and I did some like confirmation training. It's not just the normal stacking. It's quite more dynamic. So we went to training grounds that are specialized in that, and it's basically just getting shepherd breeders of the patients they needed to do their breeding puppies with a certain level of. So yeah, that was my job, and I also took on other dogs from the village, on dogs with my mother. We had a little dog walking when I was a teenager, and it was fun. It was my first pocket money. I went to different dog shelters, had a mentor there, so he took me around and taught me the ropes with aggressive dogs with getting nailed, and in most just had a few scratches. Um, I wonder how anyone who was responsible back then would let me do that, but okay. So it's a lot to learn, right? Hands on.
Mm-hmm.
Then I just worked with family dogs, friends' dogs, foster dogs in Switzerland, on and off, whilst building a career as an assistant and being at university in German language and literature and philosophy. And then when we came to Portugal, I had a chance to be assistant trainer in a local dog school channel, specializing on string training and pet dog training. Pet dog trainer who was fairly heavy-handed, but also was the first to introduce me to capturing, all the free shaping, just puppy training techniques are completely force-free. And I just left that up because I totally loved it. But the coin was also very, very brutal corrections in any way aggressive, be that food aggression, be it a dog suffered trauma. And at some point, I had my working dog, a German Shepherd, then with me, Cora, and she was my dog for obedience. As just to model the behavior for other dogs. She was calm. She was super well socialized, completely reliable in terms of temperament. Like she wouldn't snap at someone. There's so many clients' dogs, when they come, with these young German Shepherds and Malinois, it's just a big problem these days, isn't it? So yeah, after that, after we moved away from there, I went to the online dog training. Will Atherton, he used to be a guy. I mean, I can only say the best things. When I first met him, he told me I'm like his long lost soulmate as it relates to dog breed nerd. Long discussions in email, getting into the breed histories. And I worked for him for about 1.5 years. Then I changed to Garrett Wing, owner of American Standard Dog Training, or American Standard Canine, as well as DIY, which is now one of the businesses on the internet. I mean, Will Atherton Dog Training did well as well, but yeah. So my other job there was to mainly, among other things, various things, but as it relates to training consultancy, was to teach a team of moderators and dog owners and dog enthusiasts and Garrett enthusiasts how to take his method and use it to consult clients and members from our new membership area. And I was to overlook that process, like to teach them, train them up, so supervise as a manager, ultimately have the say of what they ought to be doing, right? And if I couldn't handle something, I would pass it on to Garrett, who would handle it in the weekly live calls that we did with the members. We were pretty much little Garrett clones that were his voice towards the members. So the system worked very well. We still have all these reviews for the method everywhere. You're a big one, right, to say the work, show the results, show the reviews. So that certainly worked. But for my personal dog, Maya, the Estrella mountain dog, it did not work. And Will ask me, look, you're intimately familiar with what I teach works for 90% of dogs, but there's 5% at one end of the spectrum, the more timid ones, the more neurotic ones, if you will, the genetic dogs and stuff, and the other side of the spectrum, stronger willed bull mastiffs maybe, and the livestock guardians, that it doesn't work. And unfortunately, your dog probably falls in that percentage. As she got more and more reactive, to the point she got downright nasty aggressive with people, trying to bite them on walks, and I had to walk her. We did fence recall out of that reason. Then we had to move because of COVID. We couldn't afford to stay where we were. We needed to move into small accommodation with a lot of things going on about, and I had to walk her to her. So big dog is a bit of an issue. So
Right.
I thought I need to change something real fast. Joel Beckman's methods even made things worse. Everything, like Peter says in his interview with the canine of a few days ago, experience with his Tibetans, which is a related breed, according to some theories. Tibetans are the livestock guardians we have today. He had exact same issues, and the only thing that worked is me that going to Zach George. If nothing else works, we hate Zach George. I watched so many of his videos, imitation, to get happy and animated, and here's a treat. Look, some joggers coming, means you get to heel position, we run and push you half in the river so you can't fix it at lunch. Make me look bad and want to call the police on me having a dangerously out of control dog.
Right.
You have to be careful as well. So I tried that and it worked. It effing worked. And that's a big thing that brought me to Robert Heinz eventually, and that we'll talk about in a minute. But I was saying, look, I'm seeing so clearly more and more that what many of our members have, if they have a dog like mine, if they apply pressure, that can. And I began to see cause and effect to that pit bull that had been clobbered with the e-collar or the prong collar and bit the owner into the emergency room. The boyfriend has to pry it off of her. One case. I said, Garrett, I really have a problem with this. I feel strong methods anymore because people getting bit, dogs getting bit, and I don't want to be responsible. And eventually we had the easiest way possible. A harsh word between us, like to this day. Garrett Wing is an amazing dude, just on a personal level. I want to just put that clearly before anyone says, hey, this terrible aversive trainer.
Yeah, I remember
don't
you
agree
telling me
with
that. And it's good to hear that about people behind the scenes, that they we can disagree all we want, but if you had a good experience with that individual, then that's a really good thing,
Yeah. And so I left there, and then I suddenly kind of thought, I'm kind of force free now. So I talked to Zach more. I had already started. I said, hey, I'm free of that job. So I helped him out as a volunteer and as a few projects. I got to have a video call with him, and him and his wife are also just super lovely people to talk to. Really nice. So spend some time in his kind of following. A lot of time, I'm still on and on commenting, not so active anymore, but I still like Zach George very much. And in my opinion, he totally saved my dog's ass in a way, by preventing connotation with, to a point where in public, unless there's another dog whom she doesn't trust, she may just bark and lunge a bit whilst we go past it. But that's quickly over. and just, hi, how's it going? Walk past, so she knows there's nothing that I'm concerned of. I hold her with one hand, so the other also sees I'm obviously in control of the dog. I have her well secured, double leash, 2 chain collars, just in case, you know. I mean, we still want to be responsible, but she's fine. And I think we got Zach George to thank that. Of course, makes me a Zachster in a way.
Well,
So that's how I
this
got
is
that.
why you may have heard me say this in one of my, I think I even said this in a recent video, but I had said to suggest that people like Zach George have helped nobody, to me, is a stupid thing to say. Or to say that, say if Zach George had reviews and had clients who said he helped me, to say that it's bullshit or there's no way Zach George could help anybody. Because I mean, you know, I've told you I do not agree with Zach. I don't. There are a lot of things that I don't. I have major criticisms of Zach, but to suggest that what he puts out there hasn't helped anybody, to me, it's a ridiculous thing to say, because there are so many different dogs, so many different personalities, so many different issues, and there's so many variables we have to consider for an individual dog and trying to resolve a particular issue. I mean, it's always going to come back to the relationship between dog and owner, but there are some dogs out there that are, like you said, they're very sensitive. Their temperaments are, they're a certain way, and there's a certain way you have to handle them, where an approach like Zach's may work. I mean, it's who are we to really say that because we don't like it or we don't agree with it, that like we're going to deny that it had any impact on somebody's problem, or it leading them down the road of solving that problem with their dog for the long term. And we could get into the nitty gritty of what that even means. You know, people have different ideas of what success is, but no matter what, you're never going to have a client. Well, I have a few clients where they've gotten things to a really, really great level with their dog. Um, but I have clients too where they just wanted this one problem solved, and things aren't perfect, but they're like, I just wanted this one thing solved, and I'm fine with everything. Like, I don't care about everything. I just wanted this thing good, and I'm happy with it. You know what I mean? And if I can provide that for somebody and get them there, then that's what matters to me. Because if they don't care about the dog not being perfect on a leash, or you know, it's like, and it doesn't really cause that big of a problem, then whatever, that's their business. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yes, I mean, especially.
just real quick, this is also why I have an issue with, say, methods or systems, or um you know, a lot of people in the dog world now, they find a human mentor, and that mentor teaches them sort of human made concepts that we put onto the dog. But
Mhm.
for almost 16 years, I've spent most of my time just learning about the animal and trying to study the dog. And so it just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, why would I learn from a human being about this animal when I can just go study the animal, you know?
Uh-huh.
And so,
Yeah.
but then you get lost in all these human concepts of systems and methods. And when we believe that this one method will work on all dogs, or this one system will work on all dog, it does not work that way. And then that's why you
No.
end up with, you may have a quote system that works on this handful of dogs, but it may not work on this handful of dogs. Well, then what do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Eden also saying, yeah, Garrett is a nice guy, and it didn't work for her. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Yeah, Garrett lives here as a board and train client. Maybe it would have worked. I mean, he got Mr. Chow to cooperate. Is it Chow Chow whom he told us it's the worst dog he
Right.
ever had to work with? And it really brought him to his limits. But Mr. Chow succeeded. Heel, not prancing, that's nature, but
Yeah.
just prodding along. Maybe it would have worked, but I'm not Garrett Wing. I don't have like the super past of being canine handler and the police canine trainer and whole life. I don't have
Right.
that energy, and it comes down to energy. Like Cesar
Yeah.
Millan probably could have successfully, like, slip leashed Maya out of reacting to other dogs for good. But I'm not that either. I have to work with.
Yeah. Right.
Do not give Maya's leash to another trainer. She feels threatened and bites someone. It's my problem. It's not that. It's also the trainer's problem. Okay,
Right.
but in
Exactly.
terms
Yeah.
of the bite
Yeah.
history, it's not good.
Yeah. And this is another reason why I say, like, you know, if Robert Hine, hey Robert, I know if you're watching, well, I don't like, to me, the statement that dogs are man's best friend, I just don't believe it, because how many people are attacked by dogs every day, every year? How many people are killed by dogs? How many? What if the dog was my best friend? Why would the dog also attack me? You know, he always says, "Why would you shock your best friend?" Well, why would the dog bite me if it were my best friend? Why would the dog attack me? Why would the dog kill my baby? You know what I'm saying? And so those are the questions that I always think about when I hear the statement "dog man's best friend." It's like, well, it kind of works both ways, where you can't just say, "Well, you wouldn't shock your best friend." Well, yeah, but my best friend also wouldn't bite me and put me in the hospital. You know, so it kind of works both. But then you have to, of course, explore why is the dog attacking you? And then to me, that always goes back to, well, now we have to look at the fundamental nature of the dog, which it all comes down to hierarchy. And so, and that is the thing that's my other big issue with the online training world in general. It doesn't matter if it's force free or balanced. There are very few people who even talk about hierarchy. The only two that I know of are Brandon Fouché and Caesar. And aside from that, you're not really going to hear many people discuss that aspect of dogs. And so I did appreciate. I noticed you posted on your Facebook the video that I did where I think there was the part of the debate with Robert Hines where I had, we got into alpha theory,
Yeah.
and we played the clip of Dr. David Meck, and
Yeah.
he got debunked in real time. And so no, I appreciated that you shared that, because I think there are a lot of force-free people who would never want to acknowledge it. They would want to just
That's
yeah,
shocking.
yeah. But it's that misunderstanding and that half truth has caused a lot of problems, and it's led us down some very bad roads.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
also just wanted to say real quick, welcome Nayli, welcome Eden, welcome. I can't see. I know the individual, he just subbed today. He found my rock solid video. I can't see your name, but thank you. Welcome, James. If you're here, Delta, appreciate everybody joining. But okay then. So if you want to, I know you wanted to touch on your experience with Mr. Robert Hines. So if you if you wanted if you wanted to share that, or whatever you'd like to share about that, Alexandra, you go ahead.
yes, absolutely. So whilst I was Garrett's, I think I was already across Roberts just because my dog was so crazy reactive, and before I had zagged her into becoming more tolerant and more friendly to people, I was really stressed. I mean, I was working full time for Will Asset, and we were having financial pressures on the daily. It was really poor. Reactive dog. Like, man, this is overwhelming. And we live in a shared accommodation where holiday guests come who bring their dogs and need to every day work something out that these dogs don't mangle each other up, right? It's like, oh, please, God, let me get away.
Right.
And in all that, Robert Hines, and I'm really thankful why I did the testimonials, and ultimately not to be did threatening, blackmailing, to be shared in the group, just to give recognition, because I poured all my woes out. I was so stressed. Blurted it all out in one long post and many comments, and the group members were so sweet, like, oh my gosh, yeah. And I mean, Robert gave a few good pointers, but it was for me most the therapeutic effect of being able to.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do that with my job, right? Expert there.
Right.
So it was embarrassing that my own dog wouldn't like work and wouldn't be like prancing next to me in a shopping mall off leash here going on around. So, and I thought, well, why not talk to Heinz in the person, right? Seems to have a different viewpoint than the force, than the obviously. So we decided to talk, and I paid him even out of respect, because I don't expect people to work for free for me. So at least, I want to give something. So like you getting at least the video out of it, I pay it. And at the end, okay, yeah, well, it wasn't a consultation really, was it? So it was just a talk.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I kind of felt sorry for him in a way. He has all this horrible illness and my something similar, so I kind of get it. It's horribly tough, but I thought, where can I help? Well, I have all this. At the end, I about the time where it ended married, and I thought, I have a bit of time on my hand. Why not offer something nice? I said, I can put together a book for you if you want. I mean, that's what I done over and over. Why not do it for you? I can't offer you money. Do it, and then he was podcast with him. We already planned it out, and then I just had this weird moment. I felt bad about it too, because usually I say, man of my word, I keep it. But the day before, this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good, because I'm putting myself in alignment with someone by supporting the work, working for free, appearing on podcasts, supporting the ideas, who is extremely destructive with. So grateful for, because it's possible that my dog is now pretty good compared to what she was, right? I just didn't want to do it. I said, sorry, no, no. So we the video call, I think, shouted at me for 9. My husband was just in the doorway listening to this, shaking his head like, what is going on here?
I think Eden can testify to that. It sounds about. I can testify to that too. It sounds about right. Yeah, if you don't butt your way in, it's like you won't be able to get a word in edgewise.
Not one.
No.
It's really ramping up the volume, but I have no choice but be really blunt now, because he tried to entice me in and really wanted me to be on podcast. And I said, I really like Zach George.
He probably couldn't handle hearing that. He probably couldn't stand it.
Started yelling like a lunatic, and shortly after the call ended. I think it was a time frame.
It doesn't take much. This is why I call him Butthurt Bobby. It doesn't take much. You get him into that butthurt state of mind, and he acts like he's on his period or something. And it's that. But that's why I send him the male maxi pad, so because I know it must be a bad time of month. So, but yeah. So this must have been after. What was this at? Was this before Robert released the Zoom call you guys did?
Oh yes. What happened then? I withdrew from all collaboration, and then we had that call, and we were kind of still okay-ish, But then I saw that, knew that whom I'd been following for many years, obviously, balance trainer corner, everyone knows Cabral, and I knew that he had lost 2 of his dogs, his oldest dogs, or 3 time already, and his house, like I think he even lost his house, not back then, but he really went through it. But yeah, I knew he was grieving and not in a good state, and exactly blasted out on his former, like 12 plus reaction, not just reaction, because Paul never mentioned Heinz's name anywhere. But the nastiest, vitriolicist, most vitriolic, malicious videos, a lot of them, over and over. And I just thought, this is so I remember I mentioned that to Heinz and said, because we were still on talking terms, I said, hey, that guy just lost 3 family members. That's
Right.
not
Right.
cool.
Yeah. Just leave him alone. Yeah.
Camera again, and he shouldn't have. And so I thought, you know what? I had it. It's too much for me. So I reached out to Cabral out of a feeling of, I don't know what, obligation or whatnot, condolences, and just that that. And Cabral agreed. He wrote me back and said, yeah, unfortunately, he's just about now getting views, and it's a monetized channel, so this keeps on growing and it's not good. I posted on his Facebook, hey, I got this troll. Does anyone know a lawyer? So I had mentioned in my email, hey, if you want to, yeah, if you want to get these off, I will help you where I can. So I just clicked like on his Facebook post and said, yeah, I mean, mentioned Heinz or something. That's the guy, because Cabral wouldn't mention. I just thought people need to know. I mean, Cabral's following, why shouldn't they know, right? I just thought they need to know. And then Heinz was, to this day, he goes on, you deleted the comments on the site. No, they're still there. Page and enter in the search stalker. And you see all my comments still there. I never deleted them. So I got supportive in that comment section. And of course, Heinz noticed that. And then threw a husband says, oh, Robert, Heinz, nasty videos about you. I thought, yeah, well, okay, so that's how I can help Cabral out. And so I went there, I reported the videos to YouTube, first for harassment, copyright infringement, and they removed 2. Cabral had already cost him strike 1 and 2, pretty sure, I think with 2 videos as well. So then I got 3 and 4. I mean, I wouldn't even have bothered had it been like, yeah, but you were so happy with me, or okay with me, just pretty much like liar, fraud, in bed with Zach George, tagging
The
my
usual.
channel, the usual thing,
The
right? The
usual.
usual thing.
The
And
standard
then
Heinz
blackmailing
attacks.
podcast with me, it all goes. If you don't, I'm going to expose you on blog posts, on Rumble, on TikTok, everywhere.
I see.
And yeah, and my husband had to write to web hosts, and eventually the web host told Heinz, either you take that shit down about the site. And Heinz emailed back to my husband, said, well, I have no choice now. So he had to remove it. But that was what happened. And then 10 days later, his YouTube channel documented the whole process for us all, that he's not going to fight it. He'll just come back everywhere else. Yeah, that didn't work out so well, did it? And made a big deal of it. People blackmail me or insult me and put my private stuff out. I mean, I was looking like a drowned rat, that my hair still wet. It was just literally for the group members, a testimonial. Just, hey, folks having fun. Publicized, otherwise I would have, presented it better.
Right. Yeah, that none of that surprises me, but I knew after hearing, because I'd always heard stories behind this, like just rumors or people would share things, and so when I had found Eden, or when Eden found me and she shared her story, I was like, yeah, there's got to be, I bet you there's so many people who have experienced this, but we just don't know. And of course, Pete sharing his side of things and Rosie sharing her side of I mean, there's so many people that have shared their experience with him, and it's like, but then he wonders why nobody will get behind him. He complains about nobody aligning or supporting him or backing him up in the group. It's like, yep, why would they? You treat everybody like shit. You treat people like shit. Why would anybody want to come to back you up or come to your aid or say anything nice about you if you weren't really nice to them in the first place? It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. And even when we were nice with each other, he was, okay, I'll do the book and whatever. And then a few days later, I think he writes me a text, a DM, and says, oh, it's all for naught. No, all these people don't deserve throwing a fit, and I'm like, I'm trying to be a friend here and be supportive, and you're just pretty much yelling at me. It's like, I mean, I don't know, you shouldn't even bother with the book. Yeah, I mean, if someone offers help, let them help. You know, you piss people off like that, of course.
Yeah, they're not going to want to help you. Yeah, and I just based on now, I've never had a friendship with him. I've always had more of an adversarial relationship with him. Well, if you could really call that a relationship, but my experience with him has been more adversarial, but which I'm totally fine with. But it's the biggest thing for me with guys like Hines is when you look at things ideologically, and I guess this is where maybe we could segue into say our differences. My only problem with what Robert puts out, or what a lot of people put out, and I'm not necessarily including you in this, Alex. I'm just saying in general, say like force-free people, or I mean the balanced people are we're all guilty of it to some degree, but it seems like we put ideology above everything, and it's, you know, a lot of people will try to claim science to back them up as if it makes their position credible. But I've never really met anybody who, whether force free or balanced, they really just take time to be objective. And like I said earlier, just study the dog. What can we learn about the animal? Because my biggest say criticism of force free is just that the dog itself does not, they're not force free by nature, right? And they're not positive only by nature. They're not they don't believe in equality. They're not so to me, just the nature of it is kind of counterintuitive to the way the dog is hardwired. And so for me, I've that's been always my biggest thing with it, is just it can work on some dogs, and like your experience with what Zach has taught you is there are definitely dogs out there with certain issues where going down that road can help you, and that's fine. I guess it would be, I wouldn't have a problem with it if people were more just honest about the limitations, where they would say one of my biggest criticisms of Zach is where he'll criticize people how they work with, say, aggressive dogs, and he will talk down about other people about how they work with aggressive dogs, but we never see him work with serious dogs himself. And so, but if he had just said, listen, the way I believe in doing things, these are the limitations to it, you know, that'd be fine. There'd be nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. I guess it's just, it leads people down roads where they end up in bad situations where now, like in the case of Clark, you watch the Clark video, his owners were led down a road of they believe this was how you raise the dog, and then one day the dog became a teenager and now he's attacking the family. Or if you have a dog with serious problems, they don't believe that it can be fixed, or they don't believe dominance is a thing, so they drug the dog up or they kill the dog. And to me, it's like a lot of times I find that the force-free way of doing things, in a lot of cases, it leads to the problems that we're trying to solve, at least when you have certain mentalities in dogs. And this is, I guess, so when it comes to like the pit bulls, my biggest disagreement with it is when you have a dog such as a pit bull or any of the stronger breeds, of course, the mentality of the dog is always going to matter more than the breed. But just as a general rule of thumb, you know, if I have a pit bull and I go about things in a force-free way, it will end up leading to the problems that then end up getting people hurt. So I guess that's my biggest hang up about it. But if, and then when it comes to resolving the issues with, say, pit bulls, it requires a certain understanding in order to be able to solve those problems. And I think that's why there's a big misunderstanding when it comes to that breed, is where we believe that because they were bred to fight, it means that they're hardwired to basically kill. And
Mm-hmm.
my experience with pit bulls has been very I mean, I've met a lot of great pit bulls. I've met a lot of really nasty pit bulls, but I've met pit bulls that I was able to help. Petunia being a great example of a huge
Mm-hmm.
success story. Um, and so I've seen that they're capable of changing just like any other dog. And I guess, like I said, if people were just acknowledged the limitation and said, well, listen, it may be possible that pit bulls could change, but our philosophy wouldn't be the right one for that particular dog. Or if you have an aggressive pit bull, it's out of our wheelhouse, so to speak. We would have to, somebody else would be better suited to handle that. But then um,
Mm-hmm.
it leads people to believe certain things about that breed that I don't think are inherently true. And so I think it leads to a lot of these notions that I think can be even more damaging, like just wanting pit bulls to die, or saying we should kill all the pit bulls, or you know what I'm saying, like
Oh, I
um
totally know. Yeah.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
and like, are you in a group called Shit Bulls for California, or Shit Bulls of California? Is that
No, that's just a page that someone runs who I know who's behind it. And um, yeah, I mean, we share certain groups that we're in, and we have a story, and the person has a story. So that it's not just, it's not just them hating, but I also know that they're a very fine dog lover themselves who would never do such a thing, really, but who had to unfortunately defend others who were attacked, and that just it leaves a mark on you. I mean, this one here was attacked by a pit bull a few months ago. It left a mark in me too. I grew more hateful
sure?
towards pit bulls since then because it's just such a sweet dog. She hasn't got a bad bone in her body, like your dog too. I mean, she's
Yeah,
not going to eat someone's face off. And she
no,
was attacked for no reason, just for existing, just for standing at her leash perfectly politely. I was nearly bit. I still have a PTS response from that. My dog
yeah,
Mikey was nearly bit. We were just able to fight two dogs off with a long leash, using it as a whip and shouting my ass off. You know, a martial artist guy. I did martial arts most of my life, and you know how the ki works, right? To disturb the energy of the attacker and to build up the energetic shield so they can't get through the defenses. That's what I did, and I was almost sure it was not going to work, but I was so hell bent on not get bit or not slip in the mud because it was a marshland pretty much. The trail was half underwater. I was having sandals. I was not prepared for battle. I
right,
shouldn't
right,
have to be. It was our river
yeah,
walk in the city, and I had a very bad experience. And I'm lucky. I'm happy it was me. Not Bria obviously suffered a lot. She really had obviously a trauma from that and very much pain. I'm almost happy it was me and not one of these many, many elderly, nice ladies with their chihuahuas and their mini pinchers, because
yeah,
that pocket bully would have barreled right into them, knocked them over, and killed their dog. It's just the end of it, you know. And the
yeah,
police was also very understanding. One officer had his Doberman attacked by a pit bull a few years back in the same town, you know. So yeah, they were all like very, very helpful. Now the case is in the courts. Now this can deal with years and years in Portugal, but it was just important for me also for the community of pro BSL people I'm involved with to carry this through and say, hey, you gotta move forward no matter how bad the legal situation is, how little proof you may have, you have to. And I did some research for them. I found them out the breeders in the town that produce dogs that look like that. I went undercover in a Facebook group with the different profiles that I wanted a brindle puppy. The way the dog looked was a brindle. And I found two breeders, and I said to the cops, here's where you can start looking pretty much. So I hope they will, and I hope they'll find it. It won't be a breeder, we all agreed on that, because they're too careful and responsible. They want only the best for their dogs, right? They're stickler for the rules. But it's probably a client, unless it's someone totally unrelated who just traveled through. But would they really then let their 3 dogs off in a forest very, very close to where a child's playground is? Probably not. So,
No, probably not.
yeah, I mean, the people in the groups, yeah, we come across as super Haiti, but in essence, it's just dark humor. We know each other. We talk regularly, like us, the admins behind the scenes. And we almost exclusively all are dog owners. We're all dog lovers, and we just have these horrific cases happen in our lives. And we also very clear that we would never, never, never kill a pit bull or anything or hurt a pit bull. It's just literally talk to vent off the stress because we keep on seeing the cases. I keep on getting the emails as a canine consultant. Of course, people
Right.
write to me and tell me what happened, and it's sometimes really more than I even emotionally can handle. So I need a place to vent, and that's what these groups do for me. But these people wouldn't hurt a pit bull unless it is to defend someone, and
Yeah.
they had to do that. And that again, it leaves a mark. It just doesn't leave you unscathed. And what to say? We keep track on the fatalities as it relates to the US. We have 47 dog bite related fatalities this year. I just updated the list today. People can see the list on my YouTube in the community section. And if there's something I missed, please put it in a comment and I'll add it. There is pitbulls in the list, but of course it's notoriously not accurate because, like I say in the post, the reporting is so shoddy in the US that we just hear pitbull, yeah. That can be the
Yeah.
literal Labrador mix with Chow
Sure.
Chow. That can
Sure.
also be at fault.
Yeah.
But
No.
that's
And
just
and
to
that's
say
uh,
who we are behind the scenes of pages like Shitbulls of California or the group Shitbulls or the group Cringe Lords or others.
no. I'm of two minds with the pit bull conversation. I don't know if you've watched any of my videos talking about pit bulls, but um, I understand that like we have stereotypes for a reason. There are people out there who perpetuate bad stereotypes for pit
Hmm.
bulls, and there are people who they get pit bulls for all the wrong reasons. They do really bad things to pit bulls and with pit bulls, and it's like there's this whole culture of people who just they do nothing but create more problems for everybody.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
so I understand people's hesitancy or distrust or people not favoring the dog or a dog like a pit bull because yeah, I mean I see stories all the time of pit bulls attacking kids or killing little dogs or like I get it. I totally get it. And that's why I
mm,
always say um, any of the strong breed, pit bull, German Shepherd, Cane Corso, any
yeah,
of them. Like I don't recommend those for first time dog owners. If you have a timid personality, I would not recommend those. Like there's just a certain type of person who should who would be compatible with the pit bull, and that they're just not for everybody. But there's a lot of people who have them. Um, they're not suited or equipped to meet their needs, so to speak. Um,
totally.
and that's just that's the biggest problem I see. And then of course if we add what our problems are culturally, like everything being centered around positive reinforcement, or if we go down the force free road, then that only puts us in a worse position if we have a dog such as a pit bull who has a strong mindset, because that will only bring out more of the predatory side of them, and that's going to
Oh, yeah.
really put us in a worse position, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
um that's the thing is people should just be aware. But then again, there's a lot of people who they just don't care. It's like they're gonna get them anyway. It doesn't matter what. But I still have to, I still have to say it because to me it's the truth. But there are always going to be people I think, unfortunately, who are gonna, they're just gonna keep perpetuating their stereotypes, and unfortunately, people are going to get hurt. Their dogs are going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And of course, you were on the receiving end of that, and that's really unfortunate. Um, so it's like I totally understand where people come from. Um, but then on the other hand, it's like, well, I've worked with a lot of really good ones, and I've helped owners rehabilitate them, so I know that they're
Mhm.
capable of it. But I also understand it's like there's a lot of people creating problems, and there's a lot of people getting hurt unnecessarily. Their dogs are getting hurt unnecessarily, and I acknowledge that. I'm never going to deny that, you know.
I
Um,
mean, ironically, I'm also friends with pitbull owners like Cash Spooley's a pitbull, American pitbull guy, and Presa Canario guy, dog sports person, and someone in the game dog world. And yeah, we talked at length. I even left one of the groups because I was saying, look, I'm not willing to talk smack on nice pitbull owners or bully owners. Why would I do that? And another admin didn't like that. So I said, you know what, I just leave. So I did my own group it's called Dog Training and Pitbull Awareness. And it's, the other admins, I mean, people can look them up and see if they think I'm lying here. Look up the group, look at the other admins' profiles. These are pitbull people, obviously. And we had these fascinating discussions, and they're not force-free people, believe you me, absolutely not. Old,
yeah,
very old school, but their dogs never caused a problem. They're in their yards, on their training fields, they're hunting, never causing an issue. And some of the group members telling me things in private like, oh, you know what, where I live, there's this nice dog sometimes comes running and my people would XYZ. But they know and they're physically also capable of keeping these nice dogs away.
yeah,
It shouldn't be a problem. Like I can have my dog Maya with one hand on her medal collars or on a slip lead back when she was younger. Now I don't use that anymore, but choke chains is what I use to keep her secure at all times, so she can't get loose and beat up another dog. She wouldn't kill them, but she would scare the heck out of the owner, right? So I can't
right,
let that happen. So yeah, but what was I about to say? I should be able to keep another dog away from me. So I have always one hand free to grab a stick or throw something at that other dog to keep it away. Or if it's a small dog, just use my foot to gently push it away because I don't want my dog bit in the nose by some
right,
angry
yeah,
terrier, right? But that should be possible. So if a pit bull owner or bully owner isn't physically able to do that, in my opinion, they have no business owning the dog, or they need other equipment on the dog.
yeah,
Maybe a
yeah,
prong, if that means they are safe. Maybe a halty double clipped even with a prong or a harness or whatever does it for them. But that's the thing, that the main issue I have with the force-free world. I asked everyone under the sun whom I knew, and I talked with the people there, the authorities. They couldn't answer it. They couldn't answer the question. How do you control a big, powerful dog when you're like a little woman? Couldn't
right,
answer it.
right.
Tried it. Head collars, front clip harness, da 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 da. But no, it's not really gonna work like that, is it?
No, no, it's that, and this is where for me it becomes, it's like a bit of a conundrum because the you know, force free would say don't control the dog, but when you have a bigger, stronger dog or or more headstrong dog, to go about things in a way that doesn't give you any control over the dog, to me is irresponsible. It's like, well,
Totally.
we
Yeah,
have to control the dog, otherwise bad things are going to happen to to everybody around.
exactly.
It's like, so I, as a responsible individual, I have to control the dog, but
Mhm.
control is not a bad thing. And I think the word, for to some, it is kind of a, it's like dominance. To people think that
Yeah.
word is bad, like you shouldn't control your dog, or you shouldn't. And and I think people misunderstand it anyway, where, to me it's like leadership, where like leadership is not about controlling people. Leadership, it's, you should give people as much ability to exercise their own free will, their own agency as possible, because you're not
Mhm.
anybody's parent. You're not anybody, they make their own choices, and you got to be cool with that. But that doesn't mean, leading people is not trying to control them. And I think,
Exactly.
when you are able to influence a dog, it's not that you're micromanaging everything they do. The control is up here, like you're controlling them from the inside out. And so I don't
Mm.
need to micromanage my dog, because I have complete control over her due to the influence that I have. The
Yeah.
relationship I've built gives me influence. And so I don't need to, say, control everything she does. It's a different type of control, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
where it's more about being in control rather than trying to control. Like the more controlling you are, that actually tends to have an adverse effect where it tends to push people away, or it
Yeah,
it
yeah.
it demonstrates insecurity. But if you control from a place of, if you can control yourself and you demonstrate strong characteristics, that is what will lead people to trust you, so they will follow. And I don't mean follow in it like a derogatory sense. I'm talking more about the dog, where the dog will follow your lead because it trusts that you're a strong, stable, competent individual that it can follow. So they willingly give you the control, right? So that's like, all right, you follow, or I follow, you lead, I'm good with that. Then that's where the submission aspect is the dog is more like it's accepting that, okay, this is the position I play, and I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. I'd rather you be in charge. Uh-oh. I can't hear you, Alex. Can you guys hear Alexandra? I can't hear.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Alexandra.
When I got my beagles, things shifted a bit for me because like Mikey especially is such a quirky little character. It's just not a normal dog. Just not like a German Shepherd, naturally submissive, eager to please. No, in his own world, he rules supreme. He's a little dick.
And there are
But I,
yeah,
I didn't
there are
want to use
dogs
the
like
prong
that.
on him anymore.
They seek to rule the roost.
Oh yeah, yeah, and he's an unneutered male. He's 4 years old, totally in his prime. Like he thinks he's the physique of a Rottweiler, at least.
Hmm.
So very difficult to influence. So I e-collar trained him under Garrett's guidance for recall, which worked well, but I just didn't want to do it anymore. So no, I don't want to see that little tail point downwards and that little head go down. That is just so sad. Or with the prong collar, I couldn't get him to heel like right next to me for whatever reason. He wouldn't connect the dots, and I used one prong collar session, and he still to this day he never strayed from the side again, and that was great. But also he, like Garrett would say, flattened out like a pancake, and it's just so sad. And I just started like, no, I'm not ever going to touch the tools again with him. So what someone in the beagle rescue world said to me was I think for me very interesting. It's like a beagle doesn't need an authoritative despotic leader as such, like leader in terms of as a tyrant. They need more like a parent figure to guide them through life. But it's leadership nevertheless, isn't it? Like with your kids, you need to be a leader, otherwise they don't follow, they don't respect.
Right,
I would
right.
say.
Yeah, no matter what, there's a power dynamic there, whether we're aware of it or not. Like somebody has to be in control, and if dogs are creatures of hierarchy, then instinctually it's like they're looking for somebody to be like, if somebody's not in charge, then it's just within them like, well, I guess I have to do the job, and most of them don't really want to do that job.
No,
And
exactly.
and this is the thing where I like, for me it's about meeting the needs of the dog, and if I truly want to meet the needs socially, then that aspect of hierarchy must be the root of it, where I need to establish that correct relationship where, yeah, it's very similar to you leading your child. Like as a byproduct of being a parent, you just have the powers in your hands, but you're raising a kid to become a well balanced, productive member of the human race. And so it's with
Mhm.
your dog's never going to grow up to be like an independent member of society, but you're responsible for your dog, so you're responsible for leading and guiding your dog, so that you can have a coexistence, or you can lead a life where you can coexist peacefully without conflict and without, you just don't, there's no headaches every day, there's no problems. And so for me, that the easiest path forward to get there is understanding that hierarchical aspect, but being able to influence them through communication. And this
Yeah.
is where, I don't know if you ever heard me say, the more we rely on tools as humans, or the only reason we have to use tools as humans is because it's like we're compensating for our inability to communicate exactly like another dog.
Yeah, I
And
think I
if
remember
I
you
have to
saying that.
rely, what's that?
I think I remember you saying that you
Yeah,
Caesar-ish in that regard, aren't you?
yeah, yeah. The more we rely on tools, in my opinion, to me, it speaks to like that means my ability to influence the dog is less and less and less. So
Mm,
this is my problem with programs who lean so heavily into like the e-collars and the all these tools is because to me what it really is like what would you do if the tools didn't exist? How would you then influence the dog? And if we don't have the strength of mind to communicate to that dog in a way that's going to get it to respect us, then the tools to me is it's kind of like a lazy cop out where it's like, okay, I'm not strong enough to get this dog to respect me, so I have to slap an e-collar on it and you know use that as my compensation to get it to comply basically. And
mhm,
that's where like you watch the two videos with or the video with Clark. That's what we had
mhm.
to do for his owner. I didn't need the e-collar with Clark, but they weren't able to do that. And so that was the compensation for them.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we only needed the vibrate and we only had to use it a few times. So we it accomplished the job, but it was just further evidence of that that assertion that to me it is a compensation really because if we're not strong enough to get the dog to accept us as at the top, then they're not going to. There's going to be conflict. They're going to push back. They're going to rule the roost, so to speak. And I want to be able to build respect with the dog where I don't need any tools.
Ideally, yes. I mean, it's the same with us humans. Like when I was able to build and lead the team for Garrett, like I didn't see myself as a tyrant or anything, but I was well, I would say so. I was well respected by the team and well liked, and I saw myself as helping them. It was my job to support them in what they're doing, so they can do their job without the pressure that comes invariably from the top at some point. But that's how I had learned to operate. Like in my executive assistant career, that's how my boss's boss taught us. Like in the team meeting, my first team meeting, he said, my job is to absorb the pressure from upper management so that my team leaders can do their job. And my direct bosses always said their role is to support me and the others. So the sentence the motto was, what can I do to help? Not like, how can I control you and force you and clobber you? Because we were all very much motivated because the environment marketing was so dynamic anyway, hectic, chaotic, but also, fast paced, and there was no need to try and control. And also the kind of the moment you kind of were feeling like you got a fever or something, the boss would always just right away send you home, just make sure you're okay, say if you need anything. If someone lived alone, they would go out of their way to help, make sure you were okay, so they knew when you came back you would be super motivated again, because the team has your back and you have the team's back. And that's how I grew into the idea of leadership. And it worked wonders. It worked really, really well. Like our moderators is one of the gems in Garrett's business to this day. The way they came up and they went into these paid positions that they're still holding. A few of them are even certified trainers with Garrett now, have their own dog training business. I mean, I'm proud of that too. Not because I'm so great, but for what they achieved. And giving me the opportunity to be a team leader to them was just one of the proudest moments in my life. To even when I left, it was like, yeah, man, we really did something great. So it's not that dissimilar.
No, it isn't. And I think if you walk away from an organization like that and you have nothing but good things to say about Garrett, then that probably says a lot about Garrett's ability to lead as well. And so,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and I don't know, because all my lessons in leadership videos are now on Patreon, so I don't really have any on YouTube. But what I've come to learn about leadership is it's not just one thing. And so I found that the most well respected leaders, the most admired leaders, they embody many different skill sets. And so the goal in my life is how do I develop each one of these skills to their highest level, and being able to identify what those skills are and articulate them. And so for me, if I'm going to promote leadership or teach it or talk about it, I should be able to break it down and explain it and give something for people, or give people something to think about when it comes to leadership. And then maybe they can go out in their own lives and examine the people who are in positions of leadership in their lives, and maybe think like, okay, does this person embody these principles, or do I see these principles in this person?
Yeah, yeah.
And it helps when you've been in a position of leadership where you can't, because it's one thing to be under somebody's leadership, and it's another thing to be in the position yourself. So you know firsthand what it's like to have to lead a team of people. So you probably know what I mean when I say it's not like there's you have to have different skills, and if you don't, people just aren't gonna want to listen to you. Like,
Oh, totally. You have to be good at what you're doing. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Well, James, you know who's snoring. You know who's snoring. You know who's
Who's
snoring. But like, I'll just a few principles I'll give you. Like one, the principle of just emotional stability, being a very stable individual, having a stable mindset. You're in control of yourself. You're not led by emotion. You're not reactive to things or people. You have the ability to take something in and respond, but you don't get triggered emotionally and then act, if that makes sense. You're a very well balanced individual where you don't get thrown off your center easily. Another one is the ability to be decisive. Good leaders are very decisive. They're quick on their feet. They make decisions. They don't dilly dally. And a good leader will understand that even if I make the wrong choice, I'll learn from it. And so if I make a mistake or if I make a wrong decision, that will make me a better decision maker in the future. And so, but when it comes to big decisions, sometimes you have to be quick on your feet still. But there's like, did you see the breakdown I did of the opening scene of 300, where
Yeah, part
that
of it,
part?
not all of it, but
Oh yeah, that part where. Well, thank you, by the way. That part where Leonidas, after the messenger basically issued his threat one more time, and Leonidas turns and he's looking down, and it's slow mo. He's deliberating. He's thinking about, okay, what am I going to choose to do here, because the future of my people rests on my shoulders in this moment. That's a big
it's a
decision,
big one. Oh
but
yeah.
you got to do it fast, and and not a lot of people are capable of that, and so you have to be decisive, and you have to be. The thing that I see a lot, or people, other men fail at, is they'll say something, they'll make a decision, and then 5 minutes later they've already gone back on it, and so they're going back on the decision they made, and it's like, well, you're only showing me that you're not confident in the decision you just made. You're not sticking to your word, and you're flip-flopping. It's like that's not a characteristic of a good leader. Like, you should be able to make a decision, stick to it, know why you made that decision, and head down that road until further evidence presents itself where you may decide, you know what, maybe this wasn't the best decision. I'll go back and we'll think about this some more. But I don't see a lot of that. It's a lot of, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do, and then 5 minutes later you go back on it, and it like, so then your word doesn't mean anything. And as a man, it's like there used to be a time when your word was your bond, and if people can't trust your word, and that's man or woman, like you said earlier, you're a woman of your word. If people can't trust your word, then how can they trust you at all?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where people like Hines or the St. Cloud Strangler, their words don't mean much, because they never follow through on them. They're not consistent about, I say I'm going to do this and I do it. And so it's like, if I can't trust what you say, then I can't trust you, and that's not, you
That's
can't,
true.
anybody in a position of leadership, if you can't trust them, you're not going to want to listen to them.
No. And I mean, that translates even into the anti-pitbull groups, if you will. There's still a hierarchy in there. I mean, I was asked to be an admin. Like, the way I slipped in was so weird. I was just liking to discuss the inherent drives in pitbulls, because I deep dived on that in a work project for Garrett, like keyword Killer Kimbo and his offspring, like that notorious XL American bully, and all these stories on Reddit. We did a piece on it, a three-parter, and Garrett and I discussed my findings and the references and the sources on Halloween and a phone call in the evening. It was just all kinds of creepy. Even he was like creeped out by how nasty that dynamic was. The stare, the eye impression of the dog changed. That was a common denominator in all the Kimbo offspring. And then the owner knows the dog is gone, and they just snap and attack, right? And so, where was I even going with that?
I was talking about you had said the admins in the group when I said, like, if you can't trust your word,
Exactly.
then you
Yes,
get,
yes.
like, yeah.
Yeah, that's what brought me into the group. So then I went looking for places to discuss that. So I found a debate page. I debated a bit too much, probably because they kicked me off. And I looked for the page. I thought that was so nice. I want more of this. And it wasn't hateful. It was just discussing in deep, like nitty gritty, getting into it. And I found the first group called People Against Pitbull Cringe Lords. And I was just very professionally writing some articles there. The admin was extremely nice and supportive. And then the pitax came, like the pitax. I mean, there's even an Urban Dictionary entry about what a pitax is. And instantly they threatened, they saw that I was about to support these group of dog lovers, essentially. I mean, I know behind the scene who they are, but they didn't. But I just thought that they're haters, they're abusers. No, no, not at all, actually. But the hate that I got instantly was so severe that instantly it was like, I'm gonna write to your husband. Oh, they even wrote to my sister-in-law and insulted her about something that I said, that I don't like pit bulls. It's like insane, things like that. And, oh, we're gonna call this Alexandra's person boss. We're gonna make blog posts, like pulling a Heinz on you, almost threatening you. Like, it never happened. It just never happened. Heinz at least did something. Robert Heinz, at least bravo, you did something. But they didn't do anything. But the hate was so phenomenal and so nasty. Death threats and everything. Like, I mean, Heinz would even be shocked if he had seen it. I kid you not. It's really much worse. Like what you had pointed out in the video with Miracle Canine, I believe Gia, the hate she got from the rescue hacks, as we call them, death threats, vile insults, because
Yeah.
she did point out what they're doing, misrepresenting pit bulls. And shelters lie, people die is one of the slogans we have in the groups, you know. So I came up in that group. So I was part of the admin team, and eventually some other long-standing admin asked me to help admin their group, and so it became over the years just something that I did. But even in the groups, there's a hierarchy, right? There's a group founder or founders who have the ultimate say, then there's the admins, and there's the moderators. And if someone tries to jump hierarchy, it's not a good idea.
It's not gonna work.
If a member comes in and tries to jump hierarchy or tries to be nasty, off they go. They just get booted and banned these
Just get
days.
booted, right? You follow the rules, or you're gone.
Yeah, if someone like a force-free dude, like, what happened the last time I recommended, I tried to refer a potential client to a force-free certified behaviorist with all the letters behind the name. They victim blamed her. He victim blamed her. A pit bull attack victim who showed us pictures in the Cringe Lords group back then of her face. Had to be airlifted to the hospital. I tagged him, said there's a trauma specialist. He can probably help you, maybe reach out. And he then barges in, pisses everyone off. Everyone, including the poor victim, blames her. Oh, you shouldn't blame it on the breed. It's not because it's a pit bull. Yeah, would a Chihuahua have ripped half your face off? Probably not.
Probably
So we
not. No.
apologize, but it was such a mess. It took me 2 hours to clean it up again. I will never again refer a victim to a force-free person after this. I just won't, because I know from the balanced people, they deliver something, even if they say they can't help, or they would put the dog down if they have to, sell the bitter pill, they will do so. But I've never heard a bad feedback. But with him, it was just a total disaster from the get-go. And I won't do it again. And my 4-3 friends here listening, I'm very sorry, but the victim and the client has priority to me, not the pit bull who bit her or anyone else. But that's the hierarchy, right? You come into a group and you just blurb around and try to assert yourself and call us racists pretty much because the dog racism, right? You made a whole video about that. And it's like, hey, you're dealing with someone who's disfigured for life. Can't you just, apply a bit of common courtesy here and
Yeah.
understanding? I mean,
No,
that hierarchy is everywhere in the groups, in even in here. I mean,
absolutely.
you're the
Yeah.
host. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna try and be nasty, even if I totally had a different opinion, which I don't even think I have, to be honest. I think we're more aligned than we originally probably thought in many things.
Well, this is why I think, you know, no matter the subject, it seems like people have lost the ability to be rational, nuanced, and objective. And so we we all have bias, but a lot of people, they have so much bias, but they don't, I don't know if they're not aware of it, or they don't care, or they're too emotionally invested in something. And I just like to look at all angles, all relevant information, and just take a back seat and just examine both sides. And
Yeah.
this is why I say, like, I understand why people feel the way they do about pit bulls, but I also, from just working with them professionally, I've experienced really dangerous ones firsthand. So I've worked with
Uh-huh.
them, you know. So I have a bit of a different perspective, or I should say, my perspective is more well-rounded than just somebody on Facebook just spouting their opinion. Because, like, well, I've worked with them, I've worked with really dangerous ones, and I've rehabilitated some, but I've also worked with really good ones. But I see videos all the time of people getting hurt, or people's faces getting disfigured, or it's like, I
Yeah.
know this shit happens. So
Yeah.
to say that it isn't a problem to me would be disingenuous. It would not be objective, because it does happen. But this is also why I go out of my way to try to tell people, just no matter the breed, you need to understand what you're getting into before you get any dog. But just take the time to learn about the dog. What do I need to do as a human being? Who do I need to be as a human being to fulfill this animal's life, but also make sure that I live up to the highest standards as far as my responsibility. So my dog doesn't rip somebody's fucking face off, because I would never, like you said, I think we don't tend to prioritize the human life in that equation, and I think that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, for me, all right, what's happened has happened. Let's get the human the help they need, and then we can figure it out after that. But that's the priority. Let's put our bullshit aside. Let's help the person who needs it. We can deal with the dog after. Like, let's figure out what happened. You know what I mean? But I think it's just like we spit venom at one another when that sort of shit happens. It's like, it doesn't really, but it doesn't help the person it happened to. It's like, let's figure that out
No.
first, and then we can figure out, like, why did these things happen, and what can we do to improve these things. And but this is also why I take issue with, like, say, Eden, in your position, where you went to so many people and nobody can help you, and it's like, okay, well, what do we do then when
Mm-hmm.
nobody can help me and my dog? And for the most part, your pit bull's pretty well adjusted for the most part, and your Eden, your pit bull got attacked. Your pit bull is
Yeah.
like, it was the reverse. Your dog got attacked by another dog, and so it's the reverse situation, but it's like, it's a mess. And but I, like, if you go out into the world and you have a pit bull, right, by a German Shepherd, exactly. And there was a time when the German Shepherd was the scapegoat. It was the dog everybody
Oh, yeah, yeah,
hated
yeah.
and feared. Yeah. Um, And so it's just it's a multifaceted problem. So it's like on the one hand, I understand like if you have a pit bull and you go out into the world, I understand why people are cautious or hesitant when you have a pit bull. I get it. But if we can also, and this is why I think Petunia and her owner are such great examples, because for me they're like ambassadors of like what can be achieved with a pit bull. They're good examples of um how well adjusted the breed can be. So they're good ambassadors. They're good role models for the dogs, rather than going out in the world causing problems. And I think the more of those people we can create, the better.
Yeah.
But it's like, what do we do about these backyard breeding operations where we have pit bulls being bred by people who shouldn't be breeding dogs? They get into the wrong hands. They get into dog fighting circles, or they're used for bull baiting or dog baiting, or it's just like, what do you even do about that? You know what I mean? And that's where, yeah, and you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you get attacked by a dog. You don't even know where it came from. It's like, what do we do about that?
Yeah, it happens
Um,
every day.
yeah. Those are questions I don't have answers to, because I don't know what do you do about that? Like, those are
Well, in
problems that I
Portugal,
don't like. How do we fix it?
yeah, in Portugal, we have a BSL model that seems to work fine. I mean, all the police officers I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot because we had to come to the station again and again. First to give the original report. I'd sent an email already before, so that was done. Then we had to pick up a letter for the official witness statement. Then we had to go to the official witness statement. Then that's 3 visits just for that. And we got to talk to a lot of officers about it. And they were so kind and concerned and asked what happened. So they told the whole story again. And it's not that simple to tell a dramatic story over and over again. But I thought it's good they know. And I asked every one of them, is this normal? Because in the US, it is normal. And they say, no, here it's really not. It happens. It also happens attacks on people. And when they happen, they're always bad. But there's no human fatalities in the last few years. We're not made aware of canine fatalities that often either. But yeah, when it happens, it's bad. That's why they have a muzzle and leash that they have to have in public. And that obviously who attacked my beagle didn't have either. And they just allowed to be walked on a leash that is 3 feet long maximum, I think, and a muzzle in public at all times. They have to have a secured yard. They have to be trained. They have to be, certificates from dog school that they attended training. There needs to be a theoretical course. The owner needs to understand the legal implications and be schooled in techniques to break dogs off a bite. They have to have a clean police record, criminal record, all these things, and insurance, obviously. And they can't breed them, they can't import or export, um, or give up for adoption, something like that. So it's a lot of things. And even in the groups, there's a lot of people who come forward and say, what about the Portugal model? And it's like, yeah, absolutely. It seems to work well. If even 10 police officers we talk to say the same, that it does work really well, this is almost unheard of what happened to me. That's why it was such a talk of the station. I mean, if it was in the US, the officers would just, yeah, whatever, we just got to kill more pit bulls, I guess. They would have normalized that and become blunt to it, but not here. So it seems to really work.
Yeah, and
If
that's
something like that
you
could be
know
implemented.
I'm because I've thought about this and I'm conflicted on it, but I don't think it would be a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to explore. Like okay, because obviously, all right, I believe in a free market. People should be able to buy what they want. However, it's sort of like getting a gun, where not just anybody can go get. Yeah, do we have a Second Amendment right? Yes, but not just anybody can go get one. And so it's like, if we have these strong dogs who are capable of really hurting somebody, should we put things in place that maybe prevent the wrong people from getting one? I don't know. It's a question that I think is worth exploring. Because I think there are a lot of people out there that have them, that like I said, they perpetuate the stereotype, and they really Some people will have pit bulls just so they can breed them, just so they can make money, and they don't even care about the dog. And so it's like maybe having some sort of restrictions. I don't know. It might not be the worst thing in the world, you know. And it was even with dogs like Cane Corsos.
Oh yeah.
Those are dogs, especially that I say tell that people, because people have asked me like, "What's the one breed you tell people not to get?" I said, "Don't get a fucking Cane Corso. Nobody needs a
Exactly. I
goddamn
said the
Cane Corso.
same.
You don't need one." Do I love them? I absolutely love them. I got a fucking my my King Cane Corso. That's one of my favorite paintings. Is my King Cane Corso with his crown. You know, I love that goddamn painting. I love Cane Corso. But in my little
Yeah.
apartment here, like, do I need a Cane Corso? Fuck no, I don't need a Cane Corso. You know, and that's so it's like those are the questions I think people should ask when they're thinking about getting a dog. Is like, okay, do for my lifestyle, is this dog a good idea?
Hmm.
Can I meet the needs of the dog? But these also that would also require people to do more homework before they get a
Oh,
dog,
yeah.
and unfortunately, I think culturally, people seem to think that maybe all dogs are similar. Like getting a dog is like getting a dog. It doesn't matter if it's the breed is like a coat of paint, so to speak, where it doesn't matter if it's a pit. I'll get that dog because it looks cool. I like, it's big, it's fluffy. I like, but we don't really think about it beyond that,
Mhm.
um, and that gets us into trouble. But yeah, and now what they've started doing now with some of the places you can adopt them here is you do have to take them to like training classes and stuff. They have to,
Good.
um, and of course, my only problem with that is like, okay, great. However, the training you're going to give them, I don't think is going to necessarily build the right relationship that they're going to need to make sure that this dog doesn't become a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
Um,
pet go classes and stuff.
yeah, it's like they take them to some obedience class. Yeah, because they don't really have stipulations as far as specifically where you go, what class. I think they just want you to have some kind of training. So yeah,
Yeah.
you could take your dog to the Petco. It's like, but that's not really gonna get you. It's not gonna help the situation with that particular dog. You know what I mean? Um, and so it's sort of like, okay, that's it's sort of moving in the right direction, but it's also, well, are we really helping the problem though? Because I mean, I already have clients, just non-pit bull clients, where they take their dog to the basic obedience classes, and I always ask them like, well, do you think it helped? And like, no. It's like, yeah, I figured, because they go back home and the dog's still a mess, and it's like, well, yeah, it's because it comes down to how you live with the dog. It's not, you know, that is a 24/7 thing. It's not just I take my dog to training classes and we're good. It's about everything, how you interact with the dog, how you share space with the dog, and those are things you're not going to get at a training class, and it's
Yeah. Also, training is instilling skills into the dog, like the sit,
right.
the down. How many people come to us in the dog training world? My dog is a total mess, but he can give paw and sit and down. So that's great, right? Yes,
Yeah,
yes, it's a good stuff. That's not
yeah,
it's not
it's not going to
wrong.
keep your pit bull from not attacking, or say it's not going to keep your pit bull from attacking somebody if you needed to, and that's but that's also the other problem with is all the cultural messaging, and that's where I said earlier, like, my biggest problem with, say, the force free is, um, culturally, or just the positive reinforcement altogether, is if I have a pit bull, it's going to lead me down a road where that pit bull may become so empowered that it does hurt somebody, because
Oh,
we're leading
easily.
with love and affection, and we're not disciplining the dog, we're not providing rules for the dog, there's no structure, there's no limitations, there's no so culturally, it's like we're putting guns in people's hands, and then we're not teaching them how to use them correctly. It's like, so
It's a recipe for
I think
disaster.
that's a big problem too, is the cultural messaging, and it's so I guess then, so because I'm curious, because you had seen, say, with Garrett's program, the success that people could achieve, but it wasn't working on your dog. Then you applied Zach's way of doing things and got success. So I guess what was it then that led you to go all in the other way? If you still saw that, okay, this system, so to speak, is beneficial for these types of dogs, but I found success here. So I guess, why was it that you wanted to go all the way in the other direction?
So all the way into force free, you mean then?
Yeah, from balance to force free, and I know that
Yes.
your success with your dogs is a big aspect, but I mean, just like in, say, working with the public's dogs. Well,
Yes, okay, so preference, personal preference. I enjoy it way more. But also what dogs are around here, like they mostly have either livestock guardians whom I could not take on in a physical confrontation. It would not work well for me. So I have to go the diplomatic route and the, hey, you want a treat? Hey, come to me. Let's do that, just this little engagement drills like Joe Beckman teaches. Not with much force. I just stand there and let the dog hit the end of the leash. Sometimes gently, I don't let them run into it and hurt themselves. I just gently stop and like, hey, what are we doing now? And that builds communication. And I don't put pressure on such a dog simply because I don't want to be on the receiving end of that pressure coming back up the leash. Um, so that's one type of dog we have here. We don't have very many of the normal breeds you probably have in the cities, or we also have in the cities, like the shepherds and stuff. They are in people's properties to guard sometimes, but it's more the archaic breeds they have. So they have the livestock dogs here, and they have the podengos, which is a hunting dogs. It's a mix of sight and scent hound, derived from local terriers, and the Phoenician hounds, which is a sight hound breed. So they're very biddable, very gentle, easy to influence, and very soft dogs, like with leash pressure. I just demonstrated to the owner of that black and tan dog you see on my channel sometimes, Tuka, the neighbor's dog, with a long leash, lent them my long leash and said, hey, here's how you can work with leash pressure. And I thought, well, Tuka isn't used to that. I haven't gotten to that point teaching her that, but let's just demonstrate. And she performed like I had done hours and hours of it with her. Just a gentle tuck. She'd go into front, here, like here to front, recall to front, sit down, gentle tuck downwards. She go down and down, back up. She'd go into a sit, and I was even stunned. But that's how these dogs are. They just need the gentlest of influence, and they will perform just well. My grandmother had one, so I'm very used to them from childhood, and they learn so fast. So it's making me look good, so I really don't need anything heavy handed here. It's not even going to be good for me. So that's why I strongly was in going in the direction. But also um I love it with my own dogs. It works great. I mean, with the beagles, yes, it's bribery and corruption. I'm the first to admit that. My beagle Mike, without
I heard
food
you say that
rewards,
in a video, and I was like, I didn't know if you were kidding, or if you're just like full on acknowledging it, but I thought it was funny.
it's the truth.
Okay, all right, hey, all right, fair play. Yeah, I heard it. I was like, it made me laugh. I was like, okay, well, I mean, you're acknowledging it at least, So it's like,
If I took Mikey off leash in public and didn't have food on me, he would go do his own thing. He would probably fuck off for 10 minutes and then come looking for me. Bria wouldn't, like the female, no. My livestock guardian dog, she'd probably chase some dogs off and then come back to me. But the females are very much bonded to me. They would not want to leave. But Mikey is a totally different case. I have no illusions. But food keeps him performing just well, and that's a compromise that I'm willing to live with. And why not? I mean, it works. He's having fun. I'm having fun. But again, I know there is, and I'm talking to Saro, the beagle trainer, next week. So he's the one that says, no, don't teach beagles with food for that reason, because you build a different connection when you leave it away. But with Mikey, just petting enough is not enough of a reward. He has a very low play drive, so that even doesn't work. So what am I supposed to do? Either not work him or just work him on sense, or use treats. So for now, I mean, I'm looking forward to what input Saro has on that, but for now, it works fine. So that's what we do. so that it's preference, but also it's yeah, I saw in so many cases, I thought I saw, it is an assumption, it's not a fact maybe, but I saw connections in Garrett's clients with time shortly before I left between dogs getting heavy-handed corrections and dogs getting more aggressive. And that's when I read
Yeah, and I don't
the
disagree with that either, and I have
Mhm.
my own qualms about that, and so I think it's and this is where I think, to me, balanced and force free, it because it's all learning theory, and I just you watch enough of my videos now, you know that I to me learning theory is more for building skills, like that would be the appropriate application. That would be dog training to me. Um,
Yeah,
but if I
totally.
know how to influence the dog, then I shouldn't really need much force. You know, like if I have to get heavy handed with a dog, it means there's something I'm failing somewhere. I'm there's something missing. Um, you know, and even when Goose dominates another dog, there's only been a very, I think maybe two instances where she had to get pretty forceful to get
Hmm.
another dog to back down. But 99% of the time, she's very, very fair with how she disciplines, and she only takes it to the level she needs to go. And
Mm.
oftentimes it could be just a look. She'll give a look to a dog, and that dog knows exactly what that look means, and that's it. Like we
Great.
don't she don't doesn't need to do anything beyond that. And so those are the modes of the principles I prefer to operate from, because to me it's the most instinctual, and I'm tapping into that animal part of me where I'm
Mm.
communicating to my dog on that animal to animal level, where I'm using all of my internal mechanisms just like she is when she communicates with another dog, right? Just the strength up
Mm.
here coming out through eye contact or posturing, energy, vocalization, all of those things to where I don't really have to put my hands on a dog. And if I do, it's not to say be heavy-handed or hurt them. It's more to just kind of influence them or manipulate them in some way just to get them to calm down, and then we can stay on task. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm always trying to improve that. And if that's why a lot of my videos, I, like say Clark, I think you wanted to ask me some questions about Clark, but that was a dog who had serious resource guarding, and I never put my hands on Clark. I never had to touch Clark. So because the communication was very different.
Mm.
Um, and since his resource guarding was coming from a place of I'm just going to dominate everything. This is my
Yeah.
food. Fuck off.
Yeah.
I had to challenge him and basically claim it from him to show him that no, I'm on top here. This is mine. And once I earned that respect from him, he's like, all right, cool. I showed the strength of my personality in a way that would build respect. Where if I went about it a different way, where say I had to yell at him or hit him or get angry, to me I'm showing weakness at that point. I'm showing instability in the
Mm.
other way, where you may be
Oh,
too
yeah.
soft and that shows weakness, but you can also go too far in the other direction, and you're yelling and screaming and you're getting it. That's also instability, right? That the
Yeah.
strength is right in the middle, calm and assertive. And the Caesar is a great example of that, where
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For that.
he
Yeah. Yeah.
doesn't he never talks. He communicates with his eyes, his body language, his energy, the way he touches dogs, and that's it. Because that's all you have to do. And when you can influence them that way, it's like we don't need the e-collars, and we don't need the I don't need to get heavy-handed with them, and you know what I mean. And so I think if
Mm.
and it's very hard for some people to do, and I acknowledge that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Um,
for me too. Yeah. Very
yeah, and
hard
that and
because
that's
I'm
okay, and
totally
it's
not
and
the person that's
that yeah,
natural for.
that's where I understand, and this is why I think, um, for me, being dogmatic about things is dangerous. And so people that promote that there's this one thing, this one silver bullet, this one way. If you don't do it this way, you're a piece of shit, or you don't know anything, or you're doing. It's like,
It's wrong.
okay, can we acknowledge that there's a wide variety of humans, there's a wide variety of dogs, there's a wide variety of personalities in both humans and dogs, there's a wide variety of problems. Like, so, you know, I have a huge tool bag that I can draw from. If one thing doesn't work, I can go to something else, and I'll figure out how to put this puzzle together based on the dog in front of me. Not, well, this is my system and it's got to work under my system. No, fuck that. Figure out what's going to work with the dog, you know, and work with that. You know, I have the same basic foundation I work from, the same principles I operate from, but I'm always trying to figure out what's going to work with this dog, you know, and then I if there's something new that dog taught me, I can take that to the next one. You know, so it only makes me better when I work with dogs where they're a bit of a puzzle, they're a bit of a challenge. It's like that forces me to think outside the box a little bit. And then I can take that to another dog, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, I admire you guys. Like, I mean, like I said to you privately, and I'm happy to say that publicly, if I, you know, come across a dog that I, even with an online consult, feel biased because it's a pit type or Corso, Rottweiler. I'm not a fan of these anymore. I used to be. Um, but due to seeing so many, I mean, I'm the one of the guys in the group that collects the statistics, has to just update these lists every few days, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. Like just today, I updated with a death by Cane Corso and two pitbulls just on 13th and 14th of August, something like that, recent. And I'm not going to even touch that subject. And so client comes to me, I refer them, and I would be very happy to tag you sometimes in a comment or something that, hey, check Kevin out.
Sure.
Because
Thank you. No, and
obviously
I
it's
appreciate that. And um I think that's very fair minded, and it's I think we could all use a bit of that where it's like maybe and I'll admit I've had she may be watching. There's an individual who's in Germany, and she has a very difficult dog, and I've reached out to Travis Brown because I asked you like, hey Travis, you ever worked with any, you know, and I've bounced stuff off of him. I've asked him because he's the only other he's one of the guys that I know who's maybe worked with these dogs where I could get some information from him, or like we should all be able to. I sent David at Miracle Canine a question about because I'm not that experienced with e-collars, and there was a question one of my clients had, and I sent an email to him. I asked, is I don't, you know, I'm not the expert on that, so like we should all be able to reach out to other people if we don't know, or if something isn't in our wheelhouse, or if something is beyond our reach, or um and that's where I say I definitely will give you respect in that regard, Alexandra. Is it you have adopted a force-free way out of preference, but you acknowledge that okay, if there's a dog that maybe I can't help, that I could direct them somewhere else, or I'm not going to compromise what I believe I should do to help this dog, and so I can't in good conscience advise these people because just because it would go against you know what you believe, or you
yeah,
know, and so and that to me that's fine. It's the people who have say an ideology, and anything outside of that, like we don't accept it, we don't talk about it. No, how dare you go to that person, you can't do that. No, you have to do it I have the truth, my way's the only. It's like, shut the fuck up. Can we just like you know what I mean?
yeah.
um I don't think that really helps anybody in the long run, but so I do appreciate that. And what's up, Pete? And actually, I see Iron Fist in the Velvet Glove. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Um, and to say like the more sensitive dogs that you have and you've worked with, Alexandra, those are I actually really like working with those dogs because they give me the opportunity to develop touch. And um, it's one thing like Caesar's really good at that still kind of baffles people is because I remember when I was first learning and I would try to mimic what he would do, and I wouldn't get the same. I'm like, how the fuck is he doing that?
Yeah, I
But
had the
yeah,
same.
over the years, when you work with dogs who are more sensitive, or the dogs who are or more strong minded and touch in a certain way, it doesn't phase them. They don't care. It forces
Yeah,
you to like you have to really develop um your your sense of touch. And so those more sensitive, timid dogs, you have to treat the way you touch them is going to be much more delicate. And so
Yeah, yeah,
if I have to say discipline them with a touch, it's going to be very like it's like a very faint touch, just to tell them,
just a
you don't need
tap.
those dogs. You don't need to do much, and it's what was that saying? I came up with a saying. I thought about putting it on a shirt. Oh, when you got the touch, you don't need much. I think that's what you know. So, but that's also another area. I think like if you bought any online like dog training system or course, I mean, where are you ever going to learn who is talking about touch
Uh-huh.
or like I've never seen it before. You know what I mean? So
No, that's right.
yeah, but this is where I think learning from other people can be very beneficial because you can adopt things that will work on dogs who are a bit like unfamiliar to you, or
Mhm.
what you normally do may not work with them, and so it's like, well, now you're going to need to troubleshoot a little bit. And
Yeah. And I mean, admire guys like you who have the hands-on work with these dogs that are not always nice. I mean, you in that house with that German Shepherd, um, not Chase, the other one, the black and beige one, where just
oh,
woo, woo,
Ranger.
woo, woo, woo. Yeah, and these wolves, yeah, they can result in a nip real easy with the breed, right? So I probably wouldn't have wanted to be in your shoes. I mean, I was in your shoes in when I was a teenager and just totally naive and stupid. And I remember German Shepherds
Oh yeah.
then posturing and dominating, and it got really into a dangerous situation. So
Oh
I
yeah.
wouldn't have
Yeah.
sat down there. I sat down once. I made that one. That's. I mean, I'm not calling it a mistake. Say you did a mistake because you obviously have the experience. You very consciously chose that action. I chose it, thinking,
Mhm.
oh, the dog's gonna just engage and be petted and be fine. No, he just put a leg on my leg, leaned over, growled, and that thing
Mhm.
was so big. He was 40 kilos pretty much. I'm just 50. And everyone else was in another building, so it was a ridiculously unsafe situation. And he had a bite history with a bad bite, not just a nip.
Yeah.
So I probably wouldn't have done that. So I'm much more comfortable working with the soft dogs or the flock
And
guardians. They don't
that's
usually go.
fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I wish more people would say that, more people would acknowledge that. It's like, these are the dogs I'm comfortable working with, and this is how I work with them. All right, cool. I don't have anything to say about that. Um, it's the people who won't acknowledge that, or they, like I said, they act like their one way rules all, and it's like, no, it does not work that way. And if we're too ideologically driven, I think it can lead us to a place where we won't acknowledge those dogs that we may not be able to help, that our philosophy may not be able to help. And
Yeah,
at that point, we just have to accept that there may be a different way that we don't agree with that can actually benefit them. And if we can just acknowledge that, I think we'd be a lot better off. And that but so I appreciate that. I'll tell you a little story about because you reminded me of my most proud scar on my arm here. I don't know if you can see it.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was a dog. That was a German Shepherd, big German Shepherd. What was his name? I can't remember his name. I only worked with him once, but he was like a younger kid, like a teenage kid, and he called me because he needed help with this German Shepherd. And he lived just on the outskirts of Chicago. And I don't go into the city. Like I won't serve anybody in the city, but he was right outside the city. So I go up there and I go in the house and I start talking. I sit on the couch. And I know how German Shepherds are, so I said, let me sit on the couch and then you can bring him out. Well, I sat on the couch and he brought him out, and this dog immediately started barking at me and came to investigate me. And he was literally like right here smelling. And I got this feeling from, he wasn't like Ranger. This dog was serious. He was
Oh,
investigating me and started barking at me right in my face.
ew.
And I knew if I made the wrong move, even just a little bit, he was going to bite me.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, so I just stayed very still. I didn't react to him barking at me, and I just looked over at the kid and I said, "Tell him what to do." So yeah,
Without
so
moving much.
yeah, I could, because I could sense that the dog really just needed to know, like, so because the owner wasn't telling him what to do, so the dog was taking it upon himself to, well, I guess I got to handle this guest. So I turned over and said, he's looking for you to tell him what to do, because the dog was barking at me and he was looking up at the owner. So
Uh-huh.
it's like he's looking for the guidance.
Good.
So he steps in and sends him away, and I just kind of breathed a
Oh.
sigh of relief. I was like, that was close.
Ah.
But then, yeah, but then eventually we got outside, and I was going to help him figure out his issues on the leash. Well, I was standing, I don't know, 2, 3 feet away from him, and we had just gotten outside, and he was really tense with the leash, pulling up like
Uh-huh.
this. And I was right in at the end of my sentence. I said, I was about to tell him, hey, um, relax your arm. Don't put all this tension on the leash because it's going to cause him to. And as soon as I was about to say lunge, the dog lunges at me, and I stepped back because I saw it coming, but I stepped back
Uh-huh.
just enough where, like, if I hadn't stepped back, he would have got my arm. But I stepped back just enough to where his canines, he snapped, and his canines clipped my arm, and it was the weirdest sensation, but they clipped my
Ah.
arm, and I could
Yeah.
feel the skin open up, and my whole arm was open. Just I could see the
Yeah.
muscles, the fat, the nerve, and it was.
Oh
I'm looking at my arm, and it's just wide open, and the kid.
no.
I look up at the kid, and the kid is just sweat. He's pale. He's sweating. I think he
Oh,
thought I was gonna sue him or
no.
something. And I look at him. I was like, "Hey, man, you got anything I could wrap this with?" And he's like,
Oh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll go. So he goes inside and gets me a bandage, and I wrap it up. I cover it, and I was like, all right, let's continue. And I think he was floored because he thought I was gonna get mad and get, like, sue him or something.
Go to the
We
cops.
just carried on. I was like, I just wanted to cover it up, carried on, and it actually ended up being a really good session. But he actually left me a really nice review on my Thumbtack. So if you ever
Good.
get if you're ever curious, there is a review of this on there, and he did say, "Oh, highly recommend Kevin." And my dog gave him, because I did tell him before I left. I said, "Yeah, this is my most proud battle scar." He said he gave Kevin a battle scar he'll never forget. And then I still to
Oh,
this day,
God.
that's my favorite one. But
Wow.
um, yeah, I remember that took I think a couple weeks to close up and heal up, and but the fact that, I don't know. It happened. We moved forward. We finished the job. It
Yeah.
wasn't that big of a deal. Like, if I hadn't stepped back, I think the dog would have got my arm, and it would have been much worse. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just glad it didn't happen when I was sitting on the couch where the dog was right here,
Oh.
and I'm thinking, because now that I know what the dog was capable of, I was like, I could have got fucked up.
I know how that
But
thought feels too. Yeah. Oh man.
yeah,
Yeah.
but in that moment, I knew what not to do. So
Yeah.
if I had made the wrong move, it would have been
Mhm.
serious. But I knew, yeah, I didn't react. I didn't say anything. I didn't look at the dog. I just said, just tell him what to do, and then that was
Between
it.
clenched teeth.
So I know what you mean, where it's like, you've been in situations like that where and I've been bitten by two German shepherds. Like, one of my biceps actually has, like, it's not, my right bicep has it's not a chunk missing, but there's a part of the muscle that doesn't, it looks like it's gone, because
Oh no.
when I first started doing this, there was a German shepherd I worked with that I told the owner, put him out in the backyard, let me meet him one on one. Well, the owner didn't listen, and so I went in the backyard, and she was there with the dog. So I just rolled
Oh.
with it. Yeah, and she was standing on the deck, and I was standing on the deck, and the dog was on the ground, and the dog jumped up lunged between her legs and bit me on the ankle. And then he
Ow.
jumped up and then bit me on the arm, but I grabbed his collar and sat him down. And then he chilled out after that. But oh my God, it hurt so fucking much. But I couldn't. You can't react. You can't even be like, ow, So I just took it. My ankle was screaming, and I'm like, you can't show it. So, but
Shit.
fortunately, I got the dog to relax, and it was like, okay, we can move forward here. But, so,
Damn.
so I get it, especially with the shepherds. I don't blame you. I understand. I understand.
I think the worst I had ever happened was I was so dumb back then. Like I was maybe 16 at the shelter. There'd been an owner surrender, faked as I found the dog, but no one believed him. So a guy comes with a Rottweiler, young adult, maybe 18 months, more or less. Thing is just got an attitude, one of those asshole dogs, like I call them, truly human, aggressive, dominant, big head of a dog. So I walk him, sweet talk him. I was always diplomatic, and it usually worked well. And so I was, hey, let's go this way. And okay. So we turn back. I tell the shelter people, but to me, otherwise, he let me unhook the leash, hook the leash, take him out again a few days later. And I think, well, this dog is totally disengaged, like won't pay any attention. So maybe I should try to sit down, and hadn't learned from the shepherd incident, obviously. I thought, why not? Like, you just come and get petted. Terminally dumb, right? So I'm sitting down at a space where no one even could have seen me to help. Even if I had probably yelled, they would have had to run out to try and find me. So around a bend where there was big trees, and I can still see the pine trees above me. At this moment is so engraved. So I sit down, and that dog starts doing his rumbling again with the rotties. Right? You don't know if it's bad or if it's good. Sometimes you can't discern when they do this. I can't even
Mhm.
emulate it. And he does that, and suddenly he jumps me like as in a humping position from the back. But as I'm sitting down, he's hovering above me, so he grabs my head with his jaws. And I'm just thinking, I'm literally seeing my gravestone appear and thinking 16 years, that's not a long life.
Right, right.
And I was just thinking, well, Rainer, our chief trainer at the club, at the Rottweiler club, just told me 2 weeks back that a young adult Rottweiler, whom a buddy of his got, bit him so bad in the arm that the man broke the arm and has a cast. And
Ooh.
it happened because the dog was humping him and he shoved him off. And then Rainer, being
Yeah.
obviously bought the dog and now had him. So I thought that is what not to do. So I just sweet talk, hey, good puppy, don't worry about anything. And grabbing and mouthing and
Ouch.
eventually, yeah, not drawing blood, but you could feel the pressure, right? And eventually he stopped again, just disengaged and started sniffing, and I got up and very slowly made my way back to the shelter. And yeah, I mean, I just totally would not go near a human aggressive dog in my life. Like, I wouldn't even consult at this point. I would just send him to someone like you, because I would probably say, look, if you're in that much danger from your own dog, because they are human aggressive and they are just having fun, dominating you and playing games with you,
Mhm.
making you a little bitch, essentially, literally, this is not a good situation. And I would maybe even advise such an owner to not even rehome, but do a more permanent solution that no one gets hurt. But I also know that that owner comes to me wanting help for their dog, so I can't really even say that. So I would just, you know, get them to someone like you who can help,
Definitely.
because
Yeah, and that
otherwise,
to me
yeah.
that would be um and I think that's something that doesn't get said in these conversations almost ever is you say like when I criticize the Zach George for um criticizing people who work with aggressive dogs, but he doesn't. Um, the thing I think a lot of people that we never say is that like the people that lobby criticisms at Zach or anybody who's force free, I would never say like there's an expectation on force-free people to work with aggressive dogs.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when, say, force-free individuals claim that they can do a better job with aggressive dogs using, say, a R plus methodology or something like that. We never see it though, and so that's where my
Never see
issue
it.
lies. But if a force-free person just said, "Listen, I don't want to work with aggressive dogs. I'm not comfortable with it." I would have no problem with that's totally fine. Like nobody should be made to do that. And it should not be like a prerequisite. Um, if there's a niche you want to occupy that your skill set would do well in, then occupy that niche with that skill set. But it's like um, nobody's saying that people have to work with difficult or dangerous dogs. I only take issue with the people or like Will Bangoro who claim I've rehabilitated 24,000 dogs and most of them were dangerous, serious dogs. It's like, well, where's the work? Oh, well, I don't
Yeah,
record it because it's boring. It's like, well, don't sit here and tell me you could do it better
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when you don't have anything to show for it. It's like it'd be fine if you didn't want to work with those dogs. Like, okay, cool. Like I got respect. There's no problem there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that doesn't it never gets said is like, well, we shouldn't expect anybody to work with these dogs because you can get seriously fucking hurt. You know,
Definitely. Yeah.
a- yeah, and nobody likes to get bit. And now, for me personally, I'm a little crazy, so there are individuals out there who say, well, getting bit isn't a badge of honor, and I disagree. And the reason I disagree, now we shouldn't do stupid things to get bit. That's not what I'm saying. However, like when I work with dogs who I know are capable of violence or hurting me, for me, that's an opportunity to sharpen my skills internally where I really have to be on my P's and Q's with those dogs. I have to be in top form with those dogs. I have to bring my A plus game with those dogs. And those dogs make me better. They make me
Yep.
stronger. They make me more mentally resilient. They make me more fearless for the next dangerous. You know what I mean? So I see it as like I'm getting in the gauntlet with this dog who could really hurt me. And so it's an opportunity for me to grow. It's an opportunity for me to face that fear,
Mm-hmm.
confront it, and maybe I do get bit, but it's an opportunity then to not let it phase me, to move
Mm-hmm.
past it, to like with the German Shepherd, tore my fucking arm open, but it was like, let's wrap it up and keep going. It was like
Big.
whatever. We go till the job's done. So,
Yeah.
and that's why I call them battle scars because it's like to me it just toughens me up. It makes me ready for the next one. And so I disagree with the statement that it's not a badge of honor. Now, like I said though, I think we should understand what causes a dog to bite. We should not do things deliberately to make a dog bite. We shouldn't, you know what I mean? And obviously safety precautions, we should take them.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely prefer working with aggressive dogs without a muzzle on. I prefer to do it that
Oh,
way.
okay.
I would much rather go toe to toe with that dog. And you know what I
Respect.
mean? It's because then it's like now I really can see what I'm made of. You know what I mean? I learned a lot about myself in those moments too, and so um, that's just the way I see it, though. I don't know. I've got that sort of gladiator mindset when it comes to I mean, this is my favorite painting. I've got my painting here of you know, it's called Fall of an Empire, and it's basically like it's supposed to mimic like the fall of Rome. It has a Roman aesthetic, but it's just nothing but fucking chaos and war and just like you know. So I don't know. I have that part of my psyche that's like I don't know. I it really sometimes I think I was born in the wrong time period. Like I should have been born in like the Spartan era or the ancient Greece or the medieval period like where knights and soldiers and it was like hand to hand combat and
Mm-hmm.
you know that stuff has always appealed to me but
Yeah.
um I don't know, just from a masculine perspective, for me, that's where I get to test myself, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's a shame that a lot of other men who do this work, they don't go down that road because and they rely on the tool, you know, we're just going to throw an e-collar on the dog, and it's like you're losing so much, in my opinion. There's so much to be gained by just getting in there with the dog and seeing what you're made of, and seeing if
Yeah, yeah.
can I get this dog to respect me just because
Mhm.
of who I am. You know what I mean? And that's like, you can't top that feeling when you actually do it. Like I don't know how much of that Clark video you watched where you saw, you know, I started to make progress with him,
Yeah, yeah,
and
I watched those.
that feeling, you can't replace that feeling where you're like, all right, he's starting to respect me. He's starting to see me differently. It's like, and I didn't even lay a hand on him. And
No, and
it's an
it took a
incredible
long
feeling, you know?
it took a good amount of time. I saw this incredibly patient, and he was incredibly resilient to like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not gonna back down.
Nope. I'm not right. Yeah. He was a very strong-minded dog, and he, you know, and that's where I have a couple of breakdowns of some Caesar videos on my Patreon. Or I think you watched the teaser, right, where I was
Some of
yeah.
them, yes, yes.
So studying how he works with dogs that way, I've really internalized that and studied all the little moving parts. And that's why with dogs like that, I can get that accomplished because I understand it's like a little game of chess. It's like, okay, all right, how do I make that next move without
Mm-hmm.
setting off the bomb, so to speak, you know? Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and when you understand all those little moving parts, you know, you see the way forward, and it can be it's very, it's like, well, like I said, I've told you I train jujitsu. You know, jujitsu is the same way. It's like a game of chess in real time. That's just, you got to think very quick of how do you combat your opponent's move, but then also how do you advance your position, you know? So it's
Mm-hmm.
not just playing defense, it's like, how do I gain the offense, how do I, you know? So there's this constant back and forth, and it's very similar to working with an aggressive dog, where it's like there's this game of chess, and how do I advance forward, what's the right move, and even if I
Mm-hmm.
make the wrong move, how do I recover, how do I, what's that sweet spot in terms of how I communicate that I need to hit, that's not gonna, as you've seen in your experience, when you go too far, it's gonna provoke the dog, it's gonna make the dog fight harder, it's gonna, you know. So where's that line that I don't want to cross, I
Yeah.
don't want to provoke the dog, I want to, it's kind of like a dance, you know, and I want to
Yeah.
learn how to do that dance the right way, and that's where I have issues with, like, the balance philosophy, as you've seen, when you're too heavy-handed, or you rely too heavily on those things, it can have adverse consequences where now the dog is attacking you, and the dog is like, you just piss off the dog, and it's the goal is to de-escalate. We want to diffuse the
Yeah,
situation. We
exactly.
don't want to we don't want to escalate things, you know.
Yeah, totally. And I see the martial arts sameness of this as well. I mean, on the mat, yeah, I mean it's safe, it's a simulated fight, but still in grappling, you can get hurt very bad.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
In
absolutely.
Aikido, I had my knees done in one on each time, like one on like the first the left, then the right, and it takes 3 months till it's halfway good again. You can be on the mat again. It's a pain in the butt, and so it's not as safe as you'd think. A good friend of mine had her arm like shoulder dislocated.
Yeah,
It hurt
that
like a
happens.
bitch.
I've
She
I've
was
I've gotten injuries from jujitsu. I've had to take months off because of injury. Like, yeah,
yeah,
I've gotten hurt. It's not, it is not, it is a risky martial art, contrary to what
yeah.
people think, but
Oh yeah.
you're right. It is like, it's like simulated fighting. And I mean, any martial, like I did Muay Thai for a couple of years, and when you spar,
Oh
I mean,
wow.
it's yeah, it's simulated fighting. That's, you know, what sparring is. But and this is where, the aspect of play between dogs, I think, is a bit
Mhm.
misunderstood,
Yeah,
is because that's like mock fighting for them. You
it
know,
is.
there's still an element of dominance there, where they're still figuring out the other dogs. They're figuring out their personalities. Where do they rank with each other? But they're doing it in a way that's much less confrontational.
Hmm.
But that's why it can escalate to a fight. You know, you'll see dogs play, and you can feel it escalate, and they're fighting. It's because there's still that competition there, but they're just doing it in a way that's less confrontational. But it's like mock fighting, like you said. You know.
I mean, it's also in the gym or dojo, whatever art you practice. It's you always got the individuals that won't respect the hierarchy. And in like, I did kung fu for a good few years, Wing Chun. My Sifu was from a student of Kees Kenspecht in Germany, and this was just wonderful to learn. But also with the way he teach a true leader, like a natural leader, like is amazing. Reto Sprecher is his name. If ever he listens to this video, shout out Sifu. And what I learned there is that the hierarchy obviously is very pronounced, but then you got the young idiots come in who just try testosterone fueled,
Always,
like the young to
always. Yep,
yeah,
yep.
and they just
And
think,
in
oh, you
in
all
my gym,
learned.
yeah, it's always kids that have done a lot of wrestling. The young kids, they come in and they think because they're good wrestlers, like they're gonna come. They always get their ass whooped because it's like wrestling is not jujitsu. Now, I got a lot of respect for wrestlers, but let's don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Wrestling is incredibly hard, but it is not like jujitsu. So the wrestlers come in and they think they're just gonna dominate the jujitsu guy. It don't work that way, you know.
Oh, you still there? Oh, you're
Sorry.
back.
Oh, I got a fucking phone call. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, no. So, but yeah, we see that all the time, and sometimes they usually go one of two routes where they're they really want to learn, and maybe they come in with that attitude, but they get humbled and they stick around, and then they go down
Hmm.
that path of, all right, this is going to make me better, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to humble myself, and I will know my place here. And then you have the guys who get their egos bruised, and you never see them again. They just don't they just stop showing it.
Yeah, 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 totally. I remember Sifu telling me, like coming by and just grinning, knowing what's going on, and saying, you know what, you can, you know, apply
Right,
a bit of what you learned here. And then,
right.
ow!
You ever see those videos
The old
where
woman has a trick or two, too.
some asshole off the street will come in and like challenge the gym leader or
Oh,
the
yeah.
and it's like, and then they get their ass whooped, and it's like, why would you do that? Why would you go in and some random gym and disrespect the guy running the gym, thinking you could beat him up or something, and then you get wrecked? It's like, why would you do that?
Or you don't, but it's a tradition. Like my Sifu said, you can't not take on a challenge. And his students sometimes went into other gyms locally to Basel, Switzerland, and challenged the leaders and won and said, come
If
to
done
us, we
correctly, yeah,
learn
I
from
think
Sifu.
that could be beneficial. I think
Hmm.
if it were done the right way, I think, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, but a lot of these guys, they go in and they talk shit, and they challenge the wrong way, and then they just like, all right, well, you're gonna come in here and be a disruption, then you know I'm gonna put you in your place.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
No, but yeah,
I think if everything's done respectful, it's like in a
yeah.
dog training discussion. If respectful conversation takes place, everyone benefits. But if someone tries to be an asshat, okay, we in like in the case of Heinz, we just band together and teach him a lesson.
Right. I keep saying he's done it to himself. We didn't really. What has anyone done to him that he hasn't already done to himself? Um,
Yeah.
and that's where I'm perfectly capable of I'll take the gloves off if I have to. I'll be a little pit bull if I have to. But I give what's given to me, and so if someone comes in and wants to be confrontational or be bad faith, or it's like, all right, fine, we'll go down that road. I'm okay with that. I'll treat you
Yeah.
accordingly. But if we can have a respectful dialogue, then I'm perfectly capable of that too. So it's like,
I mean, I admire that to no end. Like in the eternal diplomat, like I hate having to have like nasty confrontations. I mean, I'm capable of doing them, but I would say if I was on podcast with someone and right away it turned out this total bad face discussion, I would leave. I would say, you know what, I'm not, unless you pay me, I don't
Yeah.
want to be
No, and
with that
I
attitude.
don't
It
I don't
stinks.
blame you. I don't blame you. I guess for me it's just sort of like I'll entertain it because well, I guess okay. If I go onto someone else's platform and they're that way, I probably wouldn't entertain it. But if someone comes onto my platform, I'll entertain it because it's sort of like I'll use you as an example. You know, I'll
Yeah.
if you want to come in here and be that way, well then I'll make an example out of you. You know, but yeah,
That's,
if I go onto somebody else's stream and they do, it's like, all right, fuck you, dude. I don't have time for this shit. You know,
yeah.
I get it.
I think
And
also what would
we
do
know
some guys really.
we know we've had one conversation like that on here. Yeah. So definitely.
Oh man.
Well, Alexandra,
You know what
was
I
there
would
any
like?
other?
Yeah?
What's that?
Sorry. I was
Oh no,
just
I was just
saying, like,
oh, go ahead. Go
it
ahead.
would do some guys really good. Like, if they had, like, I think Bona Fide Canine on their page was saying, hey, why don't I organize a match one day with all the dog trainers coming? You know, they can have a boxing match. We can raise money for charity. They said, hey, pairing up the fighters would be really fun. Dale and Heinz.
I'm cool with that. I'm totally cool with that.
That'd be so funny. I mean,
There's
most of the
there'd be no
guys
reason
probably
to.
wouldn't even get in the
What,
ring.
what's that?
Most guys probably would not even enter the ring.
No,
Like,
most of them won't. No. I know it's funny. You know, I'm sure Mr. McCluskey's watching. You know, he wanted to accuse me of oh, you're not a tough guy. You wouldn't say that to my face. It's like, well, you don't know me, McCluskey. You don't know me. You know, you're welcome to
yeah,
try. But you know, it's okay. I would prefer people have their doubts. Let's put it that way.
yeah, yeah. Good to shield your
Exactly.
sword from sight.
You're right. Right. Well, I feel like there was maybe one topic we didn't get to that you had on your list.
Let
Was
me
there
look.
anything else?
Let me look at my list. Okay, the Heinz experienced, Konrad most. That's Heinz's subject. That's not so interesting. Limits of the force-free approach, the camps of dog training, and is there a third camp? Ah, that's an interesting question. So we have the two camps, balanced and force-free, and people like you. I'm not going to say and Dale and Mark and Robert because they don't really know that much, I think. I mean, Dale is a former canine handler, so he knows more than them both combined, in my opinion. He just doesn't show that or teach that these days, but you
Well,
know a lot more than what he lets on, I think.
his system was based on one dog, and that was Reuben. So
Oh, okay.
he was a canine handler, but he only handled one dog.
Oh, I
So he built
see.
his entire system on that one dog, and so I don't think you would be wrong in assuming that even though he was a canine handler, he probably didn't handle that many police dogs. Probably just the
Oh,
one.
okay. My
And if
bad.
you're gonna make an entire system just around one dog, I think that kind of speaks to a lack of experience in and of itself because you can't make one system off one dog for all dogs. It doesn't logically make sense. It does not.
No.
How does that work? You know.
Okay, good. Got me there. But the
Right.
question remains in theory. So we have the two main camps, balanced versus force free. Is there a third one? Do people like yourself, the so called anti dog trainer, fall into such a third category? Because lately I had the pleasure to talk to other people who seem to fall into such a different, like third ish category. They don't identify with balance, not with aversive, but neither with force free either.
Well, so I don't even know if I would want a third category as like a label, but
Mm,
what I do say is, you know, like in my bio, I say I'm not a dog trainer. I don't train dogs because I don't build skills in dogs.
mhm,
But I'm also not. I don't consider myself a behaviorist. But what I
mhm,
do believe that I teach here is social dynamics. And so
mhm.
I think if there would be a third group, I think it would be most beneficial if people understood that training was its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like Pete, yeah, sort of like, um, and I wouldn't even say, you could say relationship. I can't see the last word, Pete. Relation, is it relationship training or relationship?
Relationship method, I think he
Okay,
says.
yeah.
Peter says.
Um, I mean, that would fall into that third category. I guess I would,
Yeah.
but I would want it to maybe be all encompassing as far as, okay, I want to teach you about the social hardwiring of canines. How does the
Ah.
dog socially operate? So building the relationship would fall into that category. So we would, rather than teaching training concepts, we would teach, how does the canine operate? How do we understand the dog? What is the nature
Ah.
of hierarchy? What is the nature of building a relationship with the dog? Because one of my biggest qualms about these words is not many people take time to break them down. Like, what do we mean by relationship? What do we mean by leadership? What do we mean by dominance? All these things. So that's why I
Mm-hmm.
go out of my way to break them down and explain at least what I mean, um, because I think that gives people a much clearer picture of where do these problems come from, and how do we solve them in a way that's not, it's not a human made concept put onto a dog, which would be dog training.
Ah.
Because
Yes. Yes.
if we could have a bit of a shift of perspective, where if I look at, say, aggression, and I don't see that as a defect, like a
Uh-huh.
behavioral issue, but I understand that aggression, I mean, there's many causes of aggression, but let's just say aggression is a byproduct of the relationship dynamic I've built with that dog, right? So
Mm-hmm.
aggression itself is not a defect in the dog. It's not a problem to be fixed. If I understand that dogs are creatures of hierarchy, then I
Mm.
understand that the cause of that aggression is because the dog sees me as a subordinate, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's not a defect in that there's wiring in the dog that is malfunctioning. It's, well, I have built the wrong relationship with this dog. This dog believes it's higher than me in the social order, and I need to reverse that. So now we address
Mm.
things socially. And of course, I'm just using that as one example because, of course, aggression, right, Pete, yeah, aggression is the highest form of communication, right? And so all animals are, aggression is prevalent in the animal kingdom, no matter the species. I don't care if it's lions, dogs, wolves, chimps. Violence is a form of communication. Aggression is a form of communication. Yeah, right, right. Aggression is the outcome of a problem. Exactly. Right. So we just understand what is causing it. Now, of course, you have fear aggression. You have aggression, or medically induced aggression. You have all these different types of aggression. I'm just saying generally,
Mm-hmm.
from what I see, the dogs I work with, aggression is just, your dog doesn't see you the right way. It's not a
Mm.
defect in the dog. If anything, it just speaks to an imbalance in the dog, as far as hormonally the dog is too empowered, to where maybe there's nothing that we've done to limit the dog, as far as bringing the softer side out of the dog as opposed to the wolf out of the dog. That
Mm-hmm.
predatory side, we spend so much time bringing that out of them, as opposed to the softer, more subordinate side of the dog. So
Mm-hmm.
if
Yeah.
anything, we are increasing testosterone. We are increasing cortisol. We are increasing the hormones that lead to fight or flight. So if we just understand that on the social level, if I just understand dogs on that level, and I build the right relationship with them, then as a byproduct, the obedience comes with that, right? If I have a high level of trust and respect for my dog, obedience comes with that, and naturally, I'll bring out a softer, more subordinate side of the dog. And so I don't.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, then I can train the dog. I can build skills in the dog if I want. I can use dog training to teach my dog specific skills. You know what I mean? And that would be the
Yeah.
appropriate place at that point. So, but I think the foundation of that is, let's just try to understand the canine species. How do they operate? What is their what is their means of communication? How do they build relationships with each other? And that tells us a lot about how do we build relationships.
Hmm.
But I don't know how to
Yeah, I mean,
categorize that. I just say I teach social dynamics, and that's it. That to me is the easiest way to say it. You know.
it's a good point. It's a very Caesarish approach again. I mean, Will Atherton also was very much
Yeah.
Caesar influenced. He grew up with Caesar. I read many of Caesar's books, and yeah, I mean, definitely there is a lot to it. I just love training, also teaching. Like trick training is my favorite.
And
I
that's
just love
okay.
it.
That's okay. Yeah, you already said before, like you understand training is building skills. Okay,
Hmm.
great. They train away. Like for me, and that's why I say that like the people who demonize dog training, like Heinz, I think they're also not correct because it's not that dog training is bad. I think it's just been misapplied. Like dog training has its place, but we just understand that it's for building skills or teaching tasks or that's what it's for, not for uh, behavioral issues that are of a 99% of the time they're of a social nature. Like my dog is
Hmm.
treating me this way because we have a relationship issue, not necessarily because it's a training problem.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm the first to admit, like with my Beagle Mikey, yeah, I mean, that is, it would be an issue if Mikey was a Rottweiler, his attitude. As he's a Beagle, it's like, bro, chill. I can just grab the collar, make him sit his butt down, like Joel Beckman would say, and he's like, okay, whatever. He will stand down, but yeah, he has definitely got a strong opinion of himself.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and there's a lot of dogs like that where they're more confident, they're more assertive, they're more and when you have dogs like that, you just got to recognize it. And this is why I say breed is not everything. Where what is the mindset of that dog? And you have a beagle who happens to have that confident mindset. But there are also a lot of beagles who have more of a subordinate mindset. And so you just got to know what mentality lives in that dog. And that to
Hmm.
me is the most important thing. Um, because the breed itself isn't going to give you enough information. It's what is the attitude of that dog.
Hmm.
Because that informs me of what attitude do I need to demonstrate to that dog to show it the right thing. If I
Hmm.
have a more subordinate dog, I still need to apply the same concepts, right? Dominance still applies, hierarchy still applies, but I'm going to go about it in a much softer way. I'm going to go about it in a
Hmm.
different way, right? As opposed to if I have a really headstrong dog, I'm going to be much firmer. I'm going to be more strong. So it's
Yeah.
just like where understanding where that dog sits on that spectrum, so I know what level of intensity do I need to be at. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, and training and skills doesn't matter. Like Mikey knows probably 40 different voice commands. He knows a lot of skills, but his attitude, like he would still fuck off leash in public. So it doesn't fix that perceived problem. Many people, I don't see it as a problem. I just see it as having a beagle, being realistic, being responsible. So he's on a leash and he just got the property. We exercise him really well. He goes hiking. He's fulfilled, but I'm not under the impression that I can let him off and expect perfect obedience without high levels of pressure, and that means an e-collar. But why would I do that? So you're right. This is not training, is not something to fix something. It's certainly not to fix the relationship. It can increase it, it can improve it, and it can build communication. But the basic relationship I have with Mikey, I would not say has been built by obedience training. It's been built by
Nope.
living together.
Nope. Yeah, this is where for me the idea of training is to me it's kind of I just don't understand it because yeah you don't train your kids, you build relationships with your kids, you guide your kids, you teach your kids. So you don't necessarily train your kids, right? It's but the power dynamic is the same. So why would we try to train our dog when it's sort of the same thing where I just need to understand how my dog operates, how my dog thinks. And
Mm,
a lot of the problems I see is just miscommunication. We don't understand how to communicate with our dog the right way. Because I mean, one of the most important things I think for people to understand is you watch a group of dogs together. They're not training each other. They're
Yeah,
putting pressure on each other. They're communicating. But they get one another to listen. They'll follow
yeah,
one
oh yeah,
another. So how do they get it to happen without all the training? You know? So
yeah,
there's something happening socially there that we just need to focus on. And like my last two
yeah,
dogs were like that. Where my girl Kaylee, she was always following Bruno. If they were out, Bruno was always leading. Bruno, he didn't even care that he didn't care where she was at, but wherever he went, she followed him around. So, but how did Bruno get Kaylee to follow? He didn't train her. It was the strength of his
yeah,
personality, the respect Kaylee had for Bruno, that it influenced her to want to follow him. You know,
yeah,
so it's like I just do the same thing. And
yeah.
I think
It's,
if we
some,
go down that road, I think we could get a lot accomplished. But the problem in that this is the biggest downside is, or the biggest challenge is, it requires us to do a lot of internal work,
mhm.
and that's a very hard thing to do. And when it comes to people who their natural temperaments, if they're a little more timid, if they're more soft mannered, if they're more um, not as intense, so to speak, it's going to be hard for them to build that in themselves because it's just not in their nature to do it. And then that's fine. Um, but that would be a person where you might go get a dog who's not as intense. You might find a dog who's more easygoing, more middle of the road.
Yes. And I also admit that about myself. Like I softened a lot over the years. I used to feel, I mean, with the training we had as when I learned horseback riding, it was very military-like, like very much years and years of that. And then in the dog field, the same. The martial arts, the Shotokan karate is obviously the same. It's just like growing up in a militarized world in a way. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. It's character shaping. I found it a good thing back then, but it's a different thing. Like now I softened up into the 4-3 route, and I don't even want a dog like my mountain dog again. I mean, hopefully she lives many, many years more, but I would not get a dog of her kind again. I would want to go the softer route. I'd want to get maybe a nice golden retriever or nice Samoyed, just something soft and gentle, or female beagle. I mean, like Priya, she's like the pet everyone wants almost. Just nice, just easy to influence, can take them everywhere, no liability to
Right.
speak of, just even Maya is too much for me in a way because sometimes I do still need to raise my voice. I just shut it to
Yeah,
snap her out of it.
right. Yeah, and I've met beagles who are they can be very stubborn, determined, vocal, and so I get it. Every breed is gonna have its dogs that are very challenging.
Yeah,
It could be hard to really. Sometimes it's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're gonna get. Still, it's like you you could even get a puppy who maybe seems a certain way, but as they grow up, it's like it's a guessing game sometimes. It could be really hard to win the lottery in that respect, so to speak. Unless you got a really good breeder who knows,
yeah,
knows his shit,
yeah.
and then it's like, where do you find them?
Well, even that can go wrong because with Mikey, I did go that route. I called the breeder. I knew him. He was the same breeder that Maya is from. He breeds golden and beagles. I told him we're about to lose our German Shepherd and I want a puppy and one of your beagles maybe is a litter coming up. And he said, yeah, sure, we can arrange for puppy. And I said, I want you to pick the puppy. I want a middle of the road. I'm, I don't want a super dominant one. I don't want a super timid one. And that's what I got. And I want a male. So they demonstrated when I picked the puppy up that they put him on his back in like cradle position. He would stay there. So I said, he is not submissive, but he's also not super dominant. He is like a better male, I would say. But oh my God, if that is a better, I don't even want to know what an alpha beagle is like.
Right, right, right. I don't want to go all the way in the other end of that spectrum. This is enough.
It's way
Yeah, I get it.
more than
I
enough.
get it.
Thank you.
Yeah, my Bruno was half beagle. He was half English
Oh,
bulldog, half beagle. So I
right.
understand. He was a very strong-headed dog. He was very, very tough. Um, I respected the hell out of him because he was almost afraid of nothing. Like he was that dog, you know. He didn't give a fuck. He'd fight any dog. He didn't care. He didn't care if the dog was 5 times his size. He did not
Ah,
care. He's like, I'm fucking you up. You know, he just had that bull in him, you know. And I think some of
damn.
that was definitely the beagle, that determined, like, strong, stubborn, just, you know, get
Oh yeah.
forward moving. Yeah, but he was definitely a piece of work. Um, well, Alexandra, was there anything else on the list, or should we ask questions? Anybody have any questions, or is there anything else you wanted to bring up, or?
No, I think my list is pretty much done with. I mean, Konrad Most and Skinner, to be honest, I read the books and I did literally chuck them in the garbage. Sorry, Robert Hines.
I don't I don't blame you. I mean, I haven't read them myself, but
Don't.
yeah, I hear you. No, but I will say, like, because as I've said before, I think Pete, you explain Skinner so much better than Robert Hines ever could dream of. It makes so much more sense when Pete explains it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I'm thankful for that because at least he can make sense out of it. And at least understanding, say certain aspects of operant conditioning, or it's definitely useful. Or knowing, understanding fight or flight. Um, it's a layer of the cake, but it's not the whole cake to me.
Mm.
But that's just the way I see it. But okay, does anybody, you guys have any questions for Alexandra? Or does anybody want to ask her anything? Or you guys have anything you want to say, or what do we got as far as comments here? Rishi, appreciate you joining. Zal, appreciate you joining, man. I haven't seen you in a minute. Appreciate you coming by. Pete, appreciate you coming, man. If you're still in the room. Everybody who's still in the room, thank you for staying. Eden, thank you so much. Okay, Alexandra, I can only read part of it. What is your?
Yeah, I see the question. So Eden's asking, what's your opinion on a force-free approach to dogs who would be considered aggressive for aggression's sake rather than coming from bad experience? So yes, definitely, that's what I would call. I call them privately asshole dogs, and I talked about this with Garrett at some length, and it's just a 3% maybe roughly of dogs that are truly human aggressive. We're just talking not gameness, we're talking human aggression. The dogs that want to bite down and want to bite, like in bite sports, we say the man biters that just don't want to bite the decoy, they want to bite the man. Just mean sons of bitches, literally. What would I do with them? Not take them on in a training lesson, not take them on in a video lesson, because for me there is no other way that I would recommend the owner have them PTS, unfortunately. But as I wouldn't do that if someone comes to me, I would then recommend them to someone like Kevin, you know, you
Yeah,
who can
no,
help.
and even Caesar will say he doesn't want a really, he calls them front of the pack dogs. Like,
Yeah.
even Caesar doesn't want a dog like that, and I even say to myself, like, would I ever want a Bruno again? Probably not. Did Bruno teach me a lot? Absolutely. Did I love the fuck out of that dog? Absolutely. But, well, if I had another Bruno, I would be able to get him where I needed to much quicker than, when I got him. It was a learning process. I was still new at everything. But at this stage in the game, I would much rather just help other people with their difficult dogs as opposed to taking on another one myself. So I get it. And there are dogs out there that are like that. They are seriously just geared that way, and they just don't give a fuck. They don't
Yeah.
care. And it's, yeah. What do you do with those? It can be incredibly challenging, and it's like, we don't get dogs to make our lives difficult. And so,
Yeah.
unfortunately, sometimes it just happens to be the luck of the draw. But other times, again, it's what we do with them from an early age where we kind of create the monster and we're not even aware of it. But, um, I mean, I think those dogs like that are, I think, are pretty rare anyway. But
Yes, very
I
rare.
mean, there's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
spectrum of them. You have dogs that are like that, but to a lesser degree, or they're not. They've got that in them, but you can work with it.
Yeah, and I mean, you got dogs like Bruno probably as well, or like Mikey, who are just good dogs. They're like, they're not nasty. I mean, Mikey isn't nasty. He's dominant, but he's not nasty, at least not to humans, to other male dogs who hump his female. Like once he bit a dog and put a bloody mark on his face, and I was like, oh my gosh. But that had been a loose village dog who just comes running up, and Mikey just reached 1 year of age, all the hormones and everything. So it took me by surprise. But okay, I had him on leash. I was able to lift him off real fast. But wow, it can happen. But he's not a nasty personality. I can see how he could get aggressive and how beagles like him could get aggressive when people come to us and say, "Hey, I got a beagle that bit someone or bit me." Yeah, if Mikey was handled with a heavy-handed approach, I believe he could have gone very aggressive. Same with Maya. I mean, Maya is what my mountain dog is what Caesar would call dominant insecure. Mikey is what he would call dominant secure. So they're both like literally the alpha pair. So both very, very difficult, hard-headed. But because I had a strong relationship with Maya, always, she came to me at 5 weeks of age due to circumstance, illness of the mother and stuff. So she's very strongly bonded to me. So I was able to build the relationship real strong with Mikey as well, just by chipping away at it, by saying, "Hey, I'm here. I kind of matter as well. I mean, I give the food. You want that, right?" So that built the bridge initially, and now we got a beautiful relationship. But without that, had someone just put pressure and ruined the relationship, these dogs both would have been very, very aggressive, I bet, very human aggressive, and not just because of fear, but because they felt the need to and the volition to. I believe that.
Right. Yeah. No. Bruno was like every. My family told me to get rid of him. He.
Oh,
It was like the first month I had him. I brought him to meet my parents, and he attacked both their dogs. And they were
oh,
like, "Get rid of this fucking dog." So they were not on board, and I
oh
didn't blame
no.
them. Um, he was very dog vicious, but I was able to figure out a pattern. Like it wasn't every dog, and once I figured out that pattern, I figured it out. We'll put it that way. But with people, there was a pattern there too with people. He wouldn't attack people as viciously as dogs, but he would be aggressive with them. But
Oh,
family, people he knew, he was excellent with. He was a great fucking dog
nice.
with family.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
Didn't like kids, but when my niece was born, I made sure that he was great with my niece. And when my niece got older and she was mobile, he did very well with my niece. Didn't like kids, but he did very well with my niece. And so,
Oh, nice.
and that's all
Yeah.
I needed. Like I didn't have him around kids, but he did really well with. Um, but yeah, he was a dog. Like he was a motherfucker. Everybody called him an asshole, and he was, you know, he was that way. Um,
Okay.
yeah, but like I said, he really he gave me the crash course. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I started out with him, and he was like a very advanced. He would be for a person who's very advanced, and I started with like he was my second dog. I started with him,
Oh, wow.
so
Steep learning
so
curve.
I jumped into the fire very early. Um, but it is what it is, and now I'm here. So it led me to where I do what I do because of Bruno. So he put
Oh.
me on this path.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's the dogs that teach us the most. Like I got forced free because of Maya and Mikey in the end of the day, or because had I got my German Shepherd, I mean, she would take and perform perfectly. She would probably in a competition where you have 100 points, um, she would have probably scored 98, 99, maybe even. I mean, Hasso, my Schnauzer mix, was already good in that, but Cora was infinitely better just because she didn't have the stubbornness of the Schnauzer, but the German Shepherd is just a perfect soldier in a way. The more pressure you put, almost keep it in balance, obviously, but the more performance you get. And that's a dangerous, slippery slope to get to as a trainer, right? Because you see, nice, I gained the points, but what do I have to do to get them, right? So yeah, these didn't teach me the right things in a way to have the cooperative dogs, but to have dogs like Maya and Mikey that would not work that way brought me to a totally different trajectory. And otherwise, we wouldn't be talking. I'd be still working for Garrett and not talking to the anti-dog trainer.
Right. Yeah, and I always say dogs are a great opportunity for personal growth if we take
Oh
on the
yeah,
challenge. Um, people don't set out to get dogs that are difficult or make their lives difficult, but we find ourselves in these positions, and if we just meet the challenge, it's a great opportunity to develop ourselves, develop leadership skills, develop a lot of internal mechanisms within ourselves that we wouldn't be forced to uh, develop otherwise. And
yeah.
dogs kind of like with Bruno, my both my dogs, I reached a point where I realized I gotta get my shit together, or these dogs will never respect me. So I had to make a choice. It's like I could keep going down this road of being way too quick to anger, being overly emotional, being having the bitch assness, you know. Um, so so I was like, but if I keep being a bitch ass, my dogs won't respect me. So I had to make a decision. Like, all right, I have to work to resolve my bitch assness. So I can be the leader for these dogs and
Hmm.
that was a choice I made. And so
uh,
I wouldn't have gone down that road if I weren't forced to. But then again, being confronted with that choice, I still could have said no. I still could have been like, well, I'll just be a bitch ass then. I could have gone down that road, but I didn't. You know,
yeah.
and it's a very difficult thing to overcome.
Mm.
But I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be who I am without making that choice and going down that road. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but it is a very difficult road to go. I definitely acknowledge that. Appreciate it, Zhao. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate everybody joining. Does anybody else have any questions or anything? You're welcome, Eden. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, I think people have been asking what I read between the lines before the comments. They disappear, and I don't dare touch the phone because I'm afraid I'm going to end the live stream. But I think what someone been asking is how far do you let like an aggressive dog go before you say that's kind of end of the line or something. And I think for me, like I said before, it's like if it's a pit bull or pit type or anything along the catch dog types, the Besa, the Corso and stuff, doggos, I would divert the owners to someone else because I would just not be able to tell them that they should work through it because I would not feel comfortable. I would feel like putting them at risk. And
Sure.
but if it's a
No,
normal dog, say if a dog has dog aggression or is aggressive to strangers, if it's a reactive dog, usually the owner, the family can totally trust such a dog because they'll be very cognizant of in-group versus out-group dynamics. So you never have to fear such a dog. You just keep them away from people if you have to. You don't need to walk your reactive dog all the time. Get them a treadmill, run them, play with them, make sure their exercise needs are met. And if you have to keep them away from people, that's what I sometimes really just outright tell people. Don't just take a break from all the walking and all the jogging and all the training. Just chill. Work your dog out in your yard and just take a breather. They don't need to be friends with everyone. It's not the
no,
public's
they
dog,
definitely
it's
don't.
your
No.
dog.
No, I don't know where people got it in their heads that their dog needed to meet everybody and be. It's like you don't need to do that. Your dog doesn't
Yeah,
need to do that either.
yeah.
But yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say now. I had a thought and then it escaped my brain. So I don't know where it went. No, I hear you though, and it's I think the biggest frustration I have. So, like in Eden's case, she went to a bunch of people, and the problem she was having was everybody was saying because her dog was a pit bull, it couldn't be helped, which that I
Mhm.
have a problem with. But if the people she came to had said, I can't help you just because I'm not. I either A, I don't want to work with pit bulls, or I'm not equipped to work with pit bulls. Like, okay, that at
Mhm.
least is a very honest answer, and at least you're maybe you could try to help them find somebody who can help them, rather than
Yeah, yeah.
just saying, well, dog's a pit bull, can't be helped, so sorry, see you later. It's like, well, I don't agree with it, but I don't know, it can be very discouraging for somebody if they're because
Oh,
if there
yeah.
is somebody out there who can help them, it's like, well, I tell you what, I can't help you, but it's this is out of my realm of capability. But let me make some phone calls or let me see if I can find somebody who can help you.
Mhm.
Let me do that for you at least. Um, and I think that would at least be a net benefit as opposed to just sticking with the notion that well, dog can't be helped because it's a pit bull, so sorry. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
so. I appreciate Alexandra. If you do run across anybody, yeah, feel free to send them my way. I do appreciate that. It means a lot.
Yeah, and I will try to be more helpful to people who come into these groups looking for help for their dogs rather than saying nothing or just bullying them because they might get a bit frustrated just saying, hey, hit up Kevin. I mean, it doesn't,
Sure.
can't hurt,
And if
right?
and if I can't help them, I'll just tell them like, listen, I have rehabilitated pit bulls, but your case may not be good. And I've had conversations like that with people where you know there are times where you just got to be straight with people, and you just tell them like. And I've had clients where I knew the dog was able to be helped, but I didn't know if the owner was up for the task, and so I had to just be straight with them. Like, listen, this is the road ahead of you, and if you're not capable of it, I don't know if we're gonna get there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta be honest with people, you know.
Totally.
But sometimes that kind of lights a fire under their ass. It's kind of like, well, it might sometimes it motivates people. Like, well, you know what, I can do that. I will do this. I'll give it a shot. I'll give it my best effort. I can do this.
Yeah,
But those people you got to give a lot of encouragement. You got to be there every step of the way with them. You got to give them a lot of encouragement.
yeah.
But again, I do appreciate that, Alexandra. It's an honor. Thank you. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, yeah, I hear you, Mishi. Yeah, I'm sure there was a time when it was probably the same thing with the German Shepherds or the Dobermans. It was like, if there were trainers back then, they call it, oh, you got a Doberman? Nah, can't be helped. Sorry. Bye. Click. It's like, you know. But I'm also of the opinion too, where there are some dogs, because I ask myself this sometimes, like the dogs who are seriously dangerous. I know there are individuals in the world who can help them, but with your average owner, it's like, would we do a net benefit if we removed the seriously dangerous dogs so we can make room for the dogs who are more well adjusted,
Yeah, that's a
find
good
good
thought.
homes and just lead decent lives? You know what I mean? There's always that conflict in me. It's like, well, there's a lot of these dogs that are dangerous and they're at no kill shelters, or it's like it's not their fault they're like this. Humans
Yeah.
have fucked them up, but where do you draw the line? I don't know. It's like, would it be better to let we euthanize these dogs because there are a lot of well-adjusted dogs out there who could get a home? You know what I mean? And
Yeah, totally.
that's another moral conflict or discussion or whatever that is difficult, but I think it's a valid one. It's a valid conversation to have.
Yeah.
what'd you say, Mishi? Jesus. Oh yeah, yeah. I know you're biased towards them, Mishi, and that's okay. James is too. Okay, Alexandra. Well, if you want you to if you had anything else you wanted to share or anything else you wanted to say.
Just that I really appreciate the opportunity. I mean, like you know, I was getting a bit with stage fright 2 days ago. I wrote to you and saying, "Oh my God, now suddenly I'm nervous. I've never done this before."
There's nothing to
I
be
mean,
nervous
always
about,
Garrett had the lead was easy.
Yeah, no,
So
you
thank you
did
so much for
perfectly
your
fine.
patience.
Yep. No, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you. I think and I don't know if you've seen like because I've had debates with force-free people,
Mhm. I
and
need to look more into your videos. I definitely want to watch more.
yeah, they no, and I appreciate all the time you've invested into watching them. I'm thankful for that. But there are some debates on my channel with force-free individuals. If you're interested, they went pretty well.
Hmm.
Um, but I think conversations like this with people who do see things differently, I think it's a good thing. But I also think having like I enjoy debating, and if we can do it the right way, I think it can be very beneficial. I don't think there's enough of that in this community. Just talking to people
Hmm.
who see things differently, who don't agree, who there's not enough of that going on. I think it's just a lot of finger pointing and they suck because they don't agree or like as I've told you, I have major criticisms of Zach George, but I would have no issue sitting and talking to the man. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm I'm up for talking to anybody. So it's you know we can't we're never gonna get anywhere if we can't have dialogue. It's not.
Yeah, I'm beginning to see that. Yeah, after
Right,
being a bit
right, yeah.
stubborn myself.
Yeah, it's probably it's not even just the dog community. It's everywhere. No matter what the topic or community, there's always going to be groups and tribalism and infighting, and we're right there. It's like, okay, well, why don't we talk about the disagreements? Why don't we debate the disagreements? Why don't we, and otherwise we're just kind of isolating ourselves in our echo chamber, and who does that help really?
Yeah, we just become Heinzes, otherwise each in their
Right?
little
Yeah,
isolated corner.
yeah, we all become Heinzes with our private little group bitching because nobody gives us a review. I don't want to be that guy. No, hell no. Well, Alexandra, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Mishi and Eden and everyone else, James, for being on, Peter. I really appreciate that. And yeah, some of the talks we had in comment section as well. So
Definitely.
lovely community you have in
We're
your
having a
channel.
blast. Thank you everybody for showing up. Appreciate everybody watching the videos, commenting. Thank you so much. Appreciate all of you. And I hope you all have a good weekend. I'll be putting out some videos this weekend, so keep an eye out. And you're welcome, Eden. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate you. And you guys have a wonderful Friday night. And Eden or Alexandra, have a wonderful Friday night. And we'll see you all later.
Yep, talk on your channel with all of you guys.
All
Thank
right. Have a
you.
good one. Bye.
Bye.